Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Back of the Rack podcast. I should look at the camera when I say that, but you can't hear that if you're on the audio version. I should be impartial. I'm your host, Sondi, here with my co-host,
Bendez.
Yeah. This is Back of the Rack podcast where we talk about games that are, I don't want to say forgotten, because today's episode is definitely not forgotten, but games from our nostalgia goggles that we feel like don't get enough recognition as they should. Not hidden gems, but games. And I'm just gonna say it right now because we've been saying it for 5 episodes. It's Final Fantasy XII. But before we get into that, how's your life been, Ben?
I do want to add that every episode we're always trying to explain what it is, like the premises. But I was thinking about this, and maybe the best way to describe it is this podcast is the manifestation of when you look at a game and you're like, oh, have you ever played? Or you remember that game? Like those phrases are what this podcast or videocast is.
Yeah,
Just
Back of the Rack Pickups is a good example of us always going like, oh, dude, I remember that game.
Would it be fair to to call it a retro podcast, a retro gaming podcast? I was thinking about that too.
Well, I mean,
because
we played this on modern consoles. Our first game was modern consoles. You played Crimson Sea on a PS3, so I mean,
PS3's retro now.
Technically,
yeah. And then also, those 2 games were just HD remasters, but I mean, the games themselves, were like 10 plus years old, except for Bladestorm.
Didn't that come out the same year this game came out?
2006? Shit, I don't know.
Hey, listen, man. I don't know. Editor pop that right there is something.
We don't do research on this.
Nah. As I stare at this giant list of notes.
But I'll get to your question, which is how I'm doing, and I am doing okay. It's been rough. It's been a rough summer for me. I've run into a lot of issues. So it's been definitely a challenging. It's just been a challenging year, and I think for maybe a lot of people too, with COVID and all that. But I've definitely learned my lesson in a lot of ways, and I'm actually I should probably tell a story about what's going on. But before that, how are you doing? Because I don't know that you have much more going on.
It's funny because people are going to hear this like a month after the last episode, but we recorded this a week later because we were that ready for this fucking game. And ain't shit changed. My girl's out of town. She's on a girls trip, so no rude interruptions and random fade ins, fade outs you'll be seeing this episode. My dog's out the room. I blurred out the background. That's how much I cared about this episode. That's
how much you're zoning in.
I gotta work early. I'm here. Let's go.
But anyways, so more recently, you know what? I'll start it with this. Sondi, when was the last time that you felt really, really embarrassed? Because I feel like the feeling of embarrassment starts to go away as you get older.
Yeah, I can feel you,
know
on
what
that.
I mean?
I can feel you on that.
The opportunity and chances to be in a situation where you're really embarrassed, you're like, oh god, just sorts of decline.
Yeah.
Because you're more socially okay, I know what I should do, can't do, won't say, will say. So yeah, when's the last time, if you can recall?
I know it had to be. Oh, okay, I got it. Here we go. Here's the story. I was at a party. I forgot what it was.
Wait. How recent was this?
This is like 2-3 years ago.
Okay.
And last time I visibly felt like, damn. Yeah, I was at a party and it was this dude. He said in the middle of the party, "Man, where's the bitches?" I'm sorry, audio listeners. And I was like, because most of the time I'm at a party, I'm on the aux. I used to DJ, so people just throw it to me, and I just, okay, cool, I'll take it for free. And I was like, nah, bro, fuck that. Where the niggas at? See, it's funny in hindsight because yeah. But
Was okay, hold on. So let's just break that down. Was it a joke that you were trying to
yeah,
like
It's a
okay,
joke.
because I got you, yeah. I
But
absolutely get that. But no one laughed?
Nah. Like he was like, I mean, it's cool if you like, dudes, you know what I mean, and shit like that. And I was like, bro, like I'm standing next to my girlfriend at the same time. She's dying, and it's like very hilarious. And like later down the line, we're about to leave the party. So I just out the cut just go, man, where the bitch is at? And then he goes, I thought you was gay. And like at that exact moment, music cut off, everybody just looks over like, and I was just there like,
It's like, no, that was a joke.
Bro,
I thought you guys
cool it, bro, cool it.
damn.
Yeah, that's the last time.
Okay. Yeah, when you're at a party, that's where the chances of being embarrassed go up exponentially, But so more recently, I made a huge mistake. I was scammed. I was fucking scammed, and like being scammed is a whole different fucking level of embarrassment. You're just like, what the? Okay, so let me just.
It's even more embarrassing when your co-host is a banker. He's explaining the story. I was like, bruh.
Oh god. Okay. So here's how it goes. I started a new job recently, and I think this was in February. So I'm basically doing IT tech support at a realtor association place, and the work culture there seems very like fast and loose. Like there's not really like too many rules. It's not too corporate, not too strict. So on multiple occasions, I've been asked like, "Hey, here's a company card. Can you go to Best Buy and buy like a $3,000 worth of laptops?" Or, "Hey, can you go to the QT and grab some headphones real quick for this meeting?" Or and I mean, I've even seen other people like, "Hey, I'm gonna go grab some gift cards or something real quick for this event we're having for the realtors at this association." So there's like many things where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It seems like this kind of place where you're just kind of like, hey, do this for me. I'll either pay you back or whatever, or you can take the company card. So laying that foundation, there was one day I woke up and I saw an email from my boss, my boss's boss actually. And the email, it was just like, "Hey, do you have a moment?" This was at 7:00 or something. And I'm just like, I don't get into the office till 8, but I can respond to you now. Like, yeah, what's going on?
That's good.
And yeah, because I'm new, so I'm like so eager to be like, hey, like I'll respond. I'll like if you need anything, like when I get in the office or whatever.
I got you.
Yeah. So my boss's boss responds like, "Hey, can you stop somewhere and pick up 5 gift cards? I'm not like able to do it, blah blah blah." And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Each gift card is supposed to be like $100, and this is where a lot of people were like, "That's so suspicious," but because of
you
two
already
things,
done that before.
yeah, there was a precedent already set that like.
We get gift cards.
Yeah, like we would get gift cards, or we would like ask a favor like this. So I go and do this thing, and it's like, oh, just take a picture of the cards and send them to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I get to work, and I start to think a little bit like, that's so weird. There's no event that I know of today. The next day we were all gonna do like a company gathering, and we were gonna go out golfing and so I figured like, oh, these gift cards are for that event. Yeah.
You had a par, I'll give you a $100 gift card.
That's exactly what I thought it was. Turns out this is a fucking company-wide scam. Like, it's a known issue, but because I was new, I wasn't told that this happens often, and also I wasn't told that that we even get this these types of scams.
That they even finessed the email as your boss.
Yeah, because it was like, it did say my boss's name at the top, and the email was like slightly off, but not enough for me to know, being like new
Off the
and
top,
being yeah. So anyways, long story short, I got scammed because I thought it was my boss, you know, and lost $500. Just like within an hour, I was like down and out. I was like, what the fuck? And it's one of those things like you just don't think can happen to you, but like I had so many assumptions in my mind, like, oh, it's my boss. Damn, I really want to do something that will show him that I'm reliable. And then, oh, it's this thing, which is like, I've seen that happen in the office, so it's not far-fetched. And then, oh, you know, the gift card thing. And so there was so many things that I like just assumed that locked me into like that, like, okay, I'm going to go through with this, as opposed to being like, hold on.
Did they ever reimburse you?
No, they did not, actually.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Damn.
I asked them and they were like, well, because you didn't verify with like your direct supervisor and because it was out of work hours, yeah, where we can't do anything. And I was like, well, both those things would have prevented me from doing this in the first place. So it just sounds like you guys would never cover this kind of thing, which I didn't expect, honestly. Like, I wasn't like, damn, that's fucked up, you know? They were really sincere and very sympathetic towards the situation.
They're gonna get you a PS5.
Like, look, we'll buy you a PS5, but
just we're not giving you the money back.
We're not gonna give you the so yeah, that was actually extremely embarrassing, and it made me feel like, you know, tricked and like, oh fuck, like I kind of got red in the face, not in front of anybody, but like a whole different level of embarrassment where you're just like, damn, how could I be so blind, you know? Because these scammers are getting smart. It's like a direct email. It's not like, oh, we buy gift cards at gmail.com. Like, it's just like the initials of the like they're getting directly smart, and then like they're responding, you know, they it's phishing, you know.
Yeah, so, I've seen it all. That's one of the things I love doing at my job is talking with old people, and they're like this dude was like, yeah, I called YouTube TV because I was trying to get CBS, and I'm like, first of all, YouTube doesn't have a number for you to call. What the fuck are you talking about? And like, I looked at the thing, he wasn't even on YouTube. He was on like some random shit and like paid them like $200. I was like, oh my gosh. I've had people like say like, yeah, we got your nephew. He's in jail. His jaw broke so he can't talk. I'm his attorney. I'm trying to get him bail bonds. Wire me $13,000 right now. Like crazy shit like that. And like,
yep.
I just gotta sit there like, yeah, like it's kind of fucked because my responsibility is I can't tell you what to do with your money other than what to do with your money. Like,
right.
Like yeah. If I tell you don't go out because this check is fraud and you still do whatever it is with the fraud check, I warned you, but I mean, I can't say no. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah.
It was definitely an experience where I'm like, damn, that can really happen to anybody. And yeah, it's one of those things that like you never really it was a reminder that I'm human.
Don't get caught lacking, that's what it was.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know, like I need to be more maybe attentive. And you know what's funny is that I don't know. I think I was maybe just too eager to try and do something like good for my boss, who I thought it was, you know, my boss. So that's what really got me fucked up, because I just hopped on it. I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'll go do this for you. Like that'll look good. Like, hey, I can rely on this guy to do XYZ. But I didn't know that our work email like would get like, you know, sort of scammed. Yeah, yeah. So. Yeah, that was brutal, but I'm recovering, and yeah, so that's, you know, maybe a lesson for all our listeners too, that, you know, don't.
They tell you buy gift cards, don't buy gift cards.
Yeah, don't buy, and if you do buy them, don't just
send
take a picture.
Pictures.
Yeah. Don't send. Yeah, have the physical gift cards and make sure you give it to them in person or something. If you're gonna go that far, but it's Yeah, it was very stupid. But yeah. So that's how I'm doing. Oh, also,
Speaking of,
I also got my car was in the shop for like 3 months. I had to pay like $3,000
oh
for
yeah,
it.
I forgot you mentioned in this like episode 1.
Yeah. So like yeah. And I finally got it back, right? And it's like just running smoothly and everything, but the engine light came back on. It's off now. I don't know what happened, but it came back on, and that was the whole reason I paid that much money. So I'm just like, oh my god, why is my life like this right now?
Everything just compounds. You walk out the
Yeah,
house, you get jumped.
yeah. I'm just like, what is going on? I
Can't do
don't-
this shit no more, man. This shit coming
Ugh.
fuck.
Life is tough. Like, I feel like I'm pretty unassuming, but like, I don't know. It's almost as if because I'm not doing anything, this shit happens. But yeah. Anyways,
Speaking of embarrassing, it's like, nah.
I did want to ask you a question because I just like to ask you like some personal question, and yeah.
What's
well,
your social security number?
Can you buy 5 gift cards? $100 each. Send them to me, please.
For the podcast.
Vaughn, wait! What is it?
I'm going to take back what's ours. Give back to Dalmasca.
This stone is devoid of power, empty, yet full of thirst, a terrible longing to drink the world dry.
Quite a performance.
Who are you?
I play the leading man. Who else?
Our ranks grow by the hour.
And our troubles with them.
Just get me there and I'll find Penelo myself.
I don't respond well to orders.
The Nethicite. The Empire must never hold it. Anastasis, your grace. I am a
Lay
Shelia.
down your words.
Is he sleeping?
I see the serpent coiled here before me.
You speak too freely.
Dalmasca? What do you care about Dalmasca?
Why do you hesitate? Take what is yours.
Permit me to ask, who are you?
Sorry.
Can't be helped.
Not unless you want to end up twisted, like the old man.
Protect something.
What would change? He's dead.
Just how far will you go for power?
Lusting for ever greater power.
You are mistaken. You were wrong.
Cut the true path, but will she?
You must run as far as you can. That's what a sky pirate does. You fly. Don't you?
I'm ready to find my purpose, to find some real answers.
I wish I knew.
I'll find them.
Today's episode is about Final Fantasy XII, and it's hard to justify what makes this a back of the rack title, but Sondi, like, when did you first hear about this game that sort of makes it a prime candidate for us for this episode or for this series?
You said it
This
best
podcast.
during our second slate episode where you were like, I probably picked this shit up at Blockbusters and played it for a little bit and said, what the fuck is this, Mom? Take me back. This was one of those games because I vividly remember the sewers, but I don't remember how and Bunny Girls and Frown. That's all I remember as a kid. And then I just shunned Final Fantasy away. Like I never played any other Final Fantasy. I was really in tune with the lore, Like I only other than Dissidia. And then I played 14, but see the thing when I played 14 was that I skipped all the story. I actually paid for the skips like in the store to just skip straight to the expansion max level like cuz I'm a MMO first guy, so like stories in MMOs you don't really care and I wasn't
Right.
in the context of this is a Final Fantasy game still. You have to
Mm.
pay attention to the story. So I skipped the best part of the game so I can raid for like 2 months. That's
So then you did play when you were younger. You did play Final Fantasy 12. You're saying
yeah, but I was also
like
9
you
years
played.
old.
Well, yeah, no, that's exactly what. Okay, so like this, I think yeah, what makes Back of the Rec special is like our experience with the game prior to like actually playing it. So Final Fantasy 12 was like one of the first Final Fantasies that was like heavily advertised that I was like cognizant and like playing games. So this was maybe about middle school for me, I want to say. Um, but it was like I remember it being everywhere, and I would see trailers and shit, and I was like, "Holy fuck, that looks like high production." Like that was the like they were squeezing everything they could out of the PS2, and I it was just a game that I was like, I can never play that because it looks so expensive, and I remember seeing like the steel book. It was like one of the first times I
Oh
saw like the
yeah, like
steel.
the
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, damn, they do that for games? Like this game must be truly fucking special. Like they really had like a huge marketing push for this game, and it was around the time, yeah, I like Kingdom Hearts 2, and like they started to like be more like I don't know, like evolved or like just like
They were getting
games.
crazy.
Yeah, like games got like more complex, and there was just sort of like this thing about games around that time where it's like, holy fuck, this is not just a game. Like this is a huge deal to people. Final Fantasy 12, and then you know the leap to 13, and yeah, like just fandoms were being built, and it was a weird time. But I always remember seeing it and like that game looks special.
Yeah.
Like that's something special. But I didn't have the money to just play it or anything. But
See, I knew it was big because it was a Final Fantasy game, of course. Like,
right,
and that's around the time too that Final Fantasy VII was getting like it was getting researched and like they were trying it out again. So like there was a lot of like I think Advent Children, Crisis Core,
mm,
Durga Siberys. Like there was a lot of Final Fantasy VII media around that time. So it was a very like Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy. And I was
that's right. It felt like the thing at the time.
yeah.
Like
And I'm a
you
weirdo.
know,
I'm not like you. So I saw 12 and I was like, I got to play the other 11 games. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
that's too many games. Yeah, that's I don't know. I feel like when I was a little kid, when I was a middle schooler or yeah, I want to say I was like sixth, like seventh grade or something when this was coming out. It was I just didn't have any sense of things. Like I never put together. I'm like, why does this game look so good? Like I don't understand. Like I'm over here playing. I don't know what I was playing at the time, but like nothing looked that good, and like I just didn't get how money worked or how production value in games worked, and like it just looked like the newest, shiniest thing. And then, like you're saying, Advent Children, and then Dirge of Cerberus, and then what else was there?
I remember seeing hella AMVs for Crisis Core when like Genesis
Yeah.
fights Sephiroth. That whole scene, I saw hella AMVs for that with Linkin Park and the end playing. Same with Advent Children. That was a lot, and I was like, "What anime is this? What the fuck?" The whole time it's Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it was a trip, and it was like the start of like it was the start of a new era for Final Fantasy for sure, and that was like not a time that I was like cognizant of like what was going on with gaming, and I was just like, what the fuck is that? But I knew that like just the art style and everything that I saw, I'm like I just want to play that one day, like one like but it kind of just got lost. It moved to the back of the rack, like
Yeah,
I never remember anybody talking about it, even online. Like Final Fantasy 13 came out.
I hear
Yeah, I
people
don't.
talk about 13 more than I hear them talk about 12. Like I
That's what I'm
remember
saying. Yeah.
I did a poll where I asked people like, what's the first Final Fantasy game I should play? As like I've never played them all to completion. So like which one should I play? And it was always either a SNES one, 7, 10, or 14, like or 14. It was never like, oh, play 12. Like I never heard anybody talk about 12. I never really saw videos other than like when the re-release just came out. Like I finally started seeing like coverage of 12. But that's only
Mhm.
because I follow like Final Fantasy people on Twitter. I mean YouTube. But like nobody talks about 12. Nobody's like, bruh, Balthier is my favorite character.
Yeah, I remember when you asked that, and yeah, no one said 12. I mean, no one said 3, I don't think, or 8. No one said 8. Did anybody say 8?
No?
Yeah, no one said 8 because I remember I looked back more recently to see like what it was, and I was like, yeah, no one actually said some of these. So, but yeah, 12 is the black sheep. It is the back of the rack title out of all the Final Fantasies that I could tell.
And it's
No
the
one tou-
most different. It's so different. And we'll get into that as we go further along.
Yeah, I guess that's how. Well, yeah, how we like to introduce a game. Basically, is just to describe when we first heard about it. But yeah, my first impressions from back then, yeah, were just that it was like a high production title and that it was a huge game, and it is a fucking massive game. I couldn't imagine playing this game back then. Like when I was
No. I'm
I
surprised I even got to the waterways. Like
yeah,
Pacific waterways. Like that's actually surprising to me because there was so like this game. There's even times where I even had to go like, all right, let me go ahead and take a look at that. Because there's some parts I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
the game is very massive, and you can get easily lost. And yeah, dude, if I was a little kid, yeah, for sure, like you were saying, I would have returned that shit. Like, I don't know what's going on. I
That's
don't know
one.
how any of this works.
How do I
Like,
fight? Why come I'm pressing X and it's not fighting?
my Dynasty Warriors combos are working on this.
What's going on? He's just
I-
ain't nobody got time for this.
yeah, it's a big game, and I think it being like in between Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy 13, like it was in this weird spot where games were changing and or developers were trying to like change the game. The leap from PS2 to PS3 was a pretty big graphical leap. You know, or from that, I'm not just PS2 to PS3, but just like that generation.
Yeah.
And so the developers at Square were fucking really trying to like, okay, so Final Fantasy X was, just a turn-based locked camera thing. Let's fucking move, let's push this as far as we can. And they squeezed everything out of the PS2 that they could. And yeah, I think they were really ambitious.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing about this game is that it was announced at the same time as 10. Like they were like, yeah, here's 10, here's 11, and here's 12. And you're like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. And then I think they even announced 13 at that time too.
Yeah, they announced 13 at E3 2006. Looking at my notes here, somewhere around there, but it definitely took a lot of the shine away from 12. But yeah, like they were ready. Like they were like, I think it was delayed from what I remember. It was delayed a couple times.
Yeah, because I
So
think it was supposed to come out like around like 2004 ish.
yeah, 5 or something like that, 2004. But Square was also working on Kingdom Hearts 2, and they didn't want those two to cannibalize each other by releasing two huge like action RPGs. Well, I don't know if you would call this an action RPG.
A Gambit RPG.
But yeah, did you find anything interesting about like the developers? I mean, obviously it's Square, but like, did you just like that cycle, the beginning or anything interesting?
I think what was really interesting to me was the fact that the version we played was the Zodiac Age version. And normally Final Fantasy games, they do like a re-release, like how Kingdom Hearts games have a final mix where they just add like some super bosses, tweaks and balances, add a couple new items, stuff like that. This game, They, instead of doing like that same situation, they did a whole revamp of the entire game. They added hella more gambits. They added fast forward. They added, and this is all on the PlayStation 2 version, which was Japanese only. They added pretty much everything that we got in the re-release that we got now. They added on a PlayStation 2 version. So it's kind of very interesting to think about like all the stuff that's like I even think about all the stuff that we did. Like my end count was like 44 hours. I'm thinking about all the content that fitting on a single PlayStation 2 disc. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that it's just to sort of like reiterate this was the one we played was Zodiac Age, which is, you know, as you were saying, the HD remaster on PS4, and I played on Switch and you played on PS5, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the original, which we both have, right? Do you have the actually original PS2 copy?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was tough for us because I think we looked at how long it would take to complete this game, and obviously we don't have all the fucking time in the world. We can't just be sitting here playing these games, but
we were playing this for 3 episodes of this podcast in the background.
So we decided that, like, just for the sake of time and convenience, that we would play the Zodiac Age version as opposed to the original PS2 release, just because there was so much more, and from what the developers made it seem like this is like the more definitive way to play it, in terms of like all the mechanics added and being able to fast forward.
Man, look, if there wasn't a fast forward button, listen, this shit would have been an 80-hour game, bro.
Yeah, it's absolutely, I think that's one of like the best things they added to it. But yeah, so like there's those two differences between like the PS2 original one and then this HD remaster that we chose to play.
Yeah, the postmortem, they had a Game Developers Magazine postmortem for Final Fantasy XII that featured a lot of like interesting things about like the development, and there was a lot of because they wanted to go all in, so it was a lot of them scaling back how much they had, because it got to a point where they were like, whoa, we're never going to finish this game if we don't rein it in.
Yeah, they were trying to have co-op. They were trying to have 2-player co-op on it.
Yeah,
you know, which would have been like kind of cool, but
would have been really cool.
Yeah, they were like, this is actually way harder than fucking we can handle. Playing the game sort of feels like that too. Like, it sort of does feel like the game wanted to do way more than is actually there, because it has like this feeling of just like of scale. Like it just feels like a giant game, and it is like environment wise, you know, and like everything that's offered, but it does feel like they kind of scaled some stuff back, like features or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this felt like if Ivalice, like, because I know they had it in Tactics and they had it in Vagrant Story at the time. It felt like, what's the guy's name? The main director. Is it Masuno? Masuno?
He was the original director, but he left because of an illness. It's Hiroshi Minagawa and some other dude.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. But yeah, what about him?
Like, this felt like he was trying, like, because Ivalice was the main world of all those games. It felt like he was like trying his hardest to, like, if we're going to do Ivalice, like, as an open world, you can explore it, walk from one capital to another capital. I want you to see this world exactly like how it is. So you'll get 5 whole maps of just straight desert and just scale. Like, if you didn't fast forward through, even fast forwarding through it, it still takes a minute to get through these deserts, like these areas. It's huge. It's a very expansive world, and everything makes sense when you combine it. Like, the paths you take to get to the places, and like those places will lead to other places that lead to a place that you'll go to like 20 hours later, and you're like, whoa,
yeah,
what the
like
heck?
a back end, like a shortcut almost to it.
Yeah.
It's really, really big. And so a couple of things here. So the Square Enix team that took this project on, this was their first mainline Final Fantasy game. So a lot of the developers were members from the Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Advanced. So they like a lot of the people that worked on this weren't like, yeah, they didn't work on like any main Final Fantasy series. So like they had a lot to live up to, and a lot of pressure on them. You know, this is a small team who worked on small games, and they had some help, obviously, with the original director's name. What's his name? His name is Yasumi Matsuno. So this guy was involved with like the last 4 Final Fantasies or something. So like people were like, oh, okay, you know, he's on board.
He's
but
got
then
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, you know. But then he leaves, and they're like, oh, now it's in the hands of these people who've only done like smaller games and shit. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can do it, you know. So there was a lot of like, I don't know, there was just like a lot of pressure for them, and I think they wanted to. I think they're like, I don't know if you want to say indie, but like their sensibilities of working on small games sort of maybe influence the direction that this game was going to go in. But I think the producers also were like, let's make this as large as we can as well. And
let's go hard.
Yeah. They were like, okay, so yeah. So it you can sort of tell that it was a indie team's like not like love child, but like, you know, baby.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't know. What do you think about just the fact that it's like these, like it was like some small developers taking on like, especially after Final Fantasy X, like taking on this beast, and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, especially even after Final Fantasy XI, like they had to go after like the first multiplayer Final Fantasy, well, second multiplayer Final Fantasy, you know, Crystal Chronicles. No, wait, Crystal Chronicles came out in 2003. Yeah, and Final Fantasy XI came out in 2002.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Maybe, yeah. Either way, it's it's a multiplayer Final Fantasy, and I know a lot of people try to explain this game as the single player version of that game.
Yeah, because you can like an offline.
Yeah, like an offline version, and I know that. Like, this is the only game that has this battle system, this like open world, no random battles. You fight it out and you just do your thing. I think the closest you can get is Final Fantasy 15 that just came out. Like 10, 15 years later. Oh, 10 years later. Yeah, about like 10 years later.
Yeah, I was thinking about how close it is to. I mean, did you play Final Fantasy VII?
I've played the demo for the remake.
Okay.
I'm saving myself for Homecoming. Listen, man, I just beat this 50-hour game.
Okay, well, yeah, so Final Fantasy VII, you can sort of see it like the evolution of this battle system, which is called the Active Dimension battle system.
ADB.
Like yeah. It's one of those things where like, okay, games reiterate things and like they sort of like perfect it, you know, as they go along, you know? And I feel like the ADB was like the beginning of a new fucking era for battle systems in RPGs.
Literally the best battle system I've ever played in a JRPG. Like, it's so perfect. Like, only because my favorite JRPG of all time is Persona 3. And in Persona 3, you cannot control your party members. You only control the main character. And if fucking Mitsuru does Marin Karen, or if he does Zio and then, oh shit, it actually always leaked to it. Oh, bet. Ah, cool. Right. Like sometimes you get like cool moments like that. And I feel like the Gambit system was that, because one thing I hate doing is micromanaging your party. And Gambits allowed you to micromanage on a macro scale. You can just say, hey, if this is an undead enemy, cast Cure to it. Or if my person goes below 35% HP, cast Kuraga. Like, it felt like I didn't have to, oh shit. Very seldom did I have to go, oh shit, let me cast this real fast. Most of the time, I would just not even just get close to the enemy and just let the controller do the rest. Like, it just sit there. It was,
Yeah, the developers had mentioned that they got the idea for the Gambit system, which is basically what Sondi was just describing. That's what it's called, the Gambit system. They got the idea from American football.
and that's very hilarious to me.
So like, yeah, the director was watching
Man,
he
just
was watching
watching
American
Tom
football,
Brady.
and he was like, oh, like obviously, like, think of the play as the battle, and like each person has their specific uh you know fucking each person has a position to play, which is not unlike other RPGs where you have like the mage and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But obviously they have to like change their actions on each play, and like I guess he got inspiration from that aspect of it.
I really wonder what football game, like who was playing. Like, I wonder if it was like Falcons versus like
I don't even know what he was doing at an American football game.
Yeah, like what was
he never
doing?
said that he was a fan of football. He was just like, oh, I happened to stumble upon one. I don't know if it was maybe on TV, or I don't know if it was like in person, but I did think that was interesting because this system is very, very unique, and I also think it's very controversial, and a lot of people didn't like it because the game almost
plays itself. If you know what you're doing with gambits, it plays itself.
There's a aspect of like autoplay to it, and that I kind of like that aspect because I just recently finished Final Fantasy X, and that's like a normal turn-based RPG, and the grinding, which you have to do at some point, like in any RPG, it's just such a like it just takes so long selecting everybody's moves, watching it play out. Whereas like this, it's like, okay, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do this, and I'll control this person, and I'll like be the maverick that's sort of good at everything, or can like can do damage, or I can heal my party if I need to, and I can like switch the character and like just have everybody like do their own thing based on commands I set for them, and
just walk through the area and 4
Yeah.
times speed and then walk back. Just keep going.
Do laps around so I don't know, it's kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't know, let's I think that's as far as like the developers go, like they in that post-mortem they do talk about how they sort of fucked up.
That's like the first thing they say is like, we fucked up on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But we got it out here and people like it.
So yeah, you sent me that article and it was sort of tough to read for one, because it's like a lot of industry jargon.
Yeah, they were saying a lot of technicals.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. But yeah, it seemed like it was pretty tough for them because they had a lot of ambition and they had a big team, and it seemed like each department had separate ambitions and they had trouble like tying it all together. Yeah, and I don't know. I just thought that like aspect was interesting. Also, their decision to make Vaughn and Pinello or add them into the game was actually that came from the Vagrant Story developers. Like they decided to do that. I thought it was like like the producers would be like, oh no, this is gonna sell more if we get sexy ass Vaughn and Pinello because they're young and the Japanese market likes young or effeminate like protagonists and stuff. Yeah. But actually, the Vagrant Story developers were basically like, actually, we had a masculine like male lead in his prime who's older in Vagrant Story, and that game did not sell well. Like people did not resonate with the character, so let's do the opposite for this one and let's change that up. And that is a point of contention for a lot of people in this that choice, but yeah, I also kind of understand. I don't know, like what do you think, like what do you think just about that aspect of it?
I feel like Vaughn was a good player insert. Like he was a good introduction into the world, into other characters, and he felt like he didn't really have like I mean, his character arc was that his brother died, and him trying to find the killer and avenge him. And I feel like his character arc came and went, and it wasn't really as impactful. Same with Pinello. Pinello kind of was there just so we can meet the Arcadian Empire and stuff like that. And then after her job was done, she was cast back to the side. Because I feel like, because I believe that the main character originally was Bosch. And then they said, not again. We're not going to do that again. Put Vaughn in. And
do you think that was a good call though? Like, do you think that is something like just that decision, like to do that? Like, I mean, when this game first came out, did you see Vaughn or not? Yeah, like just see Vaughn in 2006 when I'm like, damn, I wanna that's a character that appeals to me. Or was
I saw
Bosch
Fran
more
and I was
appealing?
like, damn, that's a
That
character that
character
appeals to me. Nah, I honestly, after playing the whole game, I feel like Balthier would have been a better main character. He has connections to everything. He has a more compelling story, a more compelling ending to his character. And I feel like he better rounds out the rest of the cast and brings everybody together. Like he has a moment with each person in the party more than more than Vaughn or Bosch, because it gets to a point to where it's just like, hey, this is Bosch and Ash, and they're doing their things, and you're just there in the background, like, what the fuck is going on? That's a lot of the story. But I feel like Balthier, his story, especially being one of the main antagonists' sons, that it just felt like a cool little twist, especially because Sid being an antagonist, that was like a cool twist to me.
Yeah, because he's usually like a helpful role. For those who don't know, yeah, Sid is like a recurring character in like all of the Final Fantasies, and his level of importance is usually, it varies from Final Fantasy to Final Fantasy, but he's usually a good guy typically, and usually there to help out or give some encouragement. And so yeah, he's a straight up villain in this, and that's another like. To reinforce that this Final Fantasy is so different, having Sid as a villain is like a great way to reinforce that idea. It's like, okay, well, we're also gonna do away with the turn-based battle system and fucking Sid is a villain. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, let's sort of go into like the presentation. And
I wanted to go into the story. I felt like that would be the
the
craziest section. I feel like we could just knock out the story.
Let's talk about the story and how we felt about it. You can go first because I didn't play this. Actually, here, I'll go first. So I was trying to pay attention as much as I could, but there's a couple of barriers that hold you like.
Hey, listen.
First,
for a split, like there wasn't until like after like Larsa got taken, I had to go like after like the priest got killed in front of Larsa and shit. That's when I had to go like, hold on, let me go watch a YouTube video and then stop at that exact point because the grandiose English and then them just mentioning people. It's like Game of Thrones, like the first couple seasons when they're naming people and you don't know who the fuck is who, so you're like, what the fuck? And it doesn't hit you until like later in the story. This story does that a lot.
There's a very Shakespearean language to the whole thing, and the tone feels very like mature, and it feels very serious. And the way they talk, you're like, wait, should I know what they're saying right now? Like, it's very well written and it is beautiful, like how they phrase things, but it's just like it's sort of hard to connect sometimes because they're
especially in the beginning.
Yeah,
because they just like, here's an info dump of here's a war that's going on. These are the sides. Yeah. These are the main characters, and you're like, whoa.
Yes, forgot about that. Yeah. So when you first boot up the game, you get like a CG cutscene.
Yeah, right? That beautiful ass CG cutscene.
and then it moves into like a like an info dump, like text crawl, very Star Wars esque in function, and it's just like this one of the characters just taught like literally as if like we should know half the stuff that's going on, but it feels like you're missing context, and he's using all these he's bringing it up all these things you have
All
no
these
clue about,
kingdoms, all these
names.
people, all these wars, these locations, and you don't know shit. I mean, to
Yeah,
be
you're like
fair, I guess if you were a squarehead and you play like tactics and stuff, I guess you would know like
some of it, yeah.
Nabandia and shit. But
Nabudis. Yeah, it's I don't know. I didn't that part was sort of a turnoff for me, and I think even as a younger, like if I had played it back then, I'd be like, what? Okay, I don't know what's
yeah,
happening.
and it
Um,
doesn't help as well too that the story I feel gets too grand for what it, for the type of story that it was getting to. Like, there's a lot of Deus Ex Machina stones. Like, oh, you need the Dawn Stone, you need the Midnight Stone, you need this stone. No, you need to cut a new version of this stone with this magic sword and this magical demon. It's like all this shit, bro. Seriously, like just to stop this one army, like it is not that serious.
yeah, it's very like going around chasing things, and it never feels clear what the thing is or how they're gonna use it exactly.
Yeah,
Like I didn't know what nethicite was or magicite or manufacture. I was like, what? What is any of that? What is that? It powers the ships, I think. I'm
yeah,
like, I'm just like, so how are you gonna destroy? Like, how how are you gonna use a stone? Like, you have it in your hands. Now what? It just powers the ship. What are you gonna throw it at them? Like, does it give you more power? It just wasn't clear. Like, nothing was explained in that way. Um, I don't know. It was strange. So I did tune out a lot of the time. I mean, I watched the cutscenes because their character models and everything were were beautiful, but yeah, I just didn't know what they were saying.
yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Same. Once like, and then they like they call different things, and there's like things that pop. This is very descriptive, and there's like things that appear and disappear, and they're just like goodbye, like the resistance or the Akuria. Um, there's other pirates like bounty hunters. Like it's just certain things that happen in a story that I feel like just shape out the world, but don't really like add anything to like the world.
Yeah, and when it comes to storytelling, I think that what they were doing really served the purpose of fleshing out the world and doing more world building, because it does feel like rich. It feels like big, and like these things feel somewhat tangible. Aside from maybe like the whole nethicite stuff and all that, or magicite, whatever the hell it is. But yeah, like Balthier having that bounty hunter come after him, and like there being pirates, and then the resistance. It feels like things are going on outside of like what the story's trying to focus on, and I feel like that did give it like a really it gave it a sense of scale, I would say.
Yeah.
And but that's at the cost of a focused and coherent story, because they're focused. They're like, oh yeah, and there's this guy, and there's this guy, and let's mention this, and let's do this real quick, and then let's go to and like, okay, that's all cool, but can we like
What the fuck?
But I didn't get frustrated or anything. I was just like, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't.
Yeah, because everything that they did do well, they did really well, and it paid off at the end when a lot of things happened. Like my favorite character was Balthier, and his story, like just the casual reveal, like on the beach, like yeah, Dr. Sid's my dad. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because by this point, you already know who Dr. Sid is, and you know he's an asshole. So it's kind of like, whoa, this is how he knows. This is why he knows all this stuff, and it's interesting to me his dynamic with Fran once I found that out, because thinking about him, that what Fran, who was exiled, it was an external exile, kind of sort of like her community exiled her for doing what she wanted to do, and then Balthier having an internal exile because he doesn't agree with Arcadia, and his father and all their deals and them being a couple. Kind of. It was really cool to me to think about that.
Yeah, that was an element that I definitely picked up on, and I really liked. Fran, I think I liked her whole situation, or maybe it's her species that's interesting, or race. I don't know what.
Especially
exactly
not knowing how old she is. Even Vaughn being like, "How old are you?" If that was 50 years ago, and even then knowing like that 14 takes place at this like 30 years after 12 in the same universe. It's kind of hilarious having Fran as a quest giver. So it's like, hold on, you got to be at least 100.
Yeah, and like their whole, it's sort of like a very, it's somewhat tropey because it's like the Amazons. Like it's like what's Wonder Woman's Themyscira or something like that?
Yeah, Themyscira.
Yeah, so it feels like this is an idea we're familiar with, where it's like, oh, this lush paradise that's just has women, and that's what the Vieira are, just these bunny women, and they are very like isolationist, and they keep to themselves, and they speak to the wood. They have this special relationship with the spirit of the wood, or the woods, and if anybody leaves, then they're like exiled, because they lose their connection. And Fran sort of has that, she follows that story, and she comes back because they need something. I don't know what they need from them, but they come back, and like her sister's like the mayor.
The mayor of the woods.
She's the mayor of the woods. And yeah, she gets exiled, and like after you go through your quest and like save her younger sister or whatever, she asks her older sister, or the mayor, she's like, can you ask the woods if they still accept me? And her sister like says like, yeah, they do, but like Fran realizes that she's probably just lying to make her feel better about it. And like the camera like just pans in on Fran's face, and it looks like you just get the like that sadness, but like happiness, like that bittersweet moment.
Yeah,
and I'm
just
like, damn, that's so good.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Or like BOTR at the end, where he like tries to do his fake out sacrifice, and he's like, "I'm the leading man after all." I was like, ah. Yeah. Or Bosch has a really good moment too, where he fights his brother. Like, did you have Gabranth? I mean, not Gabranth. Did you have Bosch in the party when you fought Gabranth?
Yeah, I did. Actually, yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I didn't realize they had like special dialogue options and stuff like that too. When like you guys fight, like they have different cutscenes. I was like, that's so cool. Him fighting his brother, like, please stop. It's okay.
It was really cool. So there are a lot of little things, especially because you spend so much time with these characters. There's a lot of little things and payoffs. So I was like, wow, that's cool. But yeah, overall the story and how it kind of like flows, I think it's a little poorly paced.
I could say that.
Like there's certain sections where it's like nothing happens. It's like, why was there a cutscene for that? And then then all of a sudden there's this cutscene that has everything you need to know, but it's like it's just very lopsided with how they give you information and what's important and what's not. There was times where I just watched, I'm like, wow, that cutscene, like when they go to the sun crest or whatever, like what is that called? Like she has the big sword.
Oh yeah, the Sword of the Kings. When she gets that one.
Yeah, and then she's supposed to like cut or destroy the sun, something about the sun crest, right? But it's where they fight Gabranth for the first time.
Oh, that's that's the annoying dungeon, and you get all the way to the end, like the final dungeon, and you get all the way to the top, and he's just like, "Hello."
Yeah, you guys took long. The Redona Cataract, I want to say, is what it was called.
Yeah.
But like that whole cutscene, I was like, is this the end of the game? Like so much happened there, and I was like, there's not a lot of buildup, Yeah. And you go through the dungeon, and obviously we'll talk about some level designs in the dungeons, but yeah, like it just like happened, and it was so climactic that I thought it was the end of the game for a second. I was like, wait, what? Is this it? That's how little I understood about what was happening.
I ain't even gonna hold you. I kind of did too. I was kind of like, all right, maybe this is it. And then right after they're like, all right before you hit the ship, they're like, this is it. So are you sure? Are you positive you want to go in? Because this is it.
Yeah, because it felt very like it was supposed to be like the climax. I mean, you had the huge thing exploding. You kill, or you think you kill Gabranth. I guess he survives. Redis or whatever, the pirate with the pink shorts.
Like, yeah, he's like, I'm a judge too. Ah.
Yeah. That was another cool thing too, that he was a judge. I was like, oh shit, wow, were. I do want to point at the Akuria scene was probably one of my favorite scenes when Ash goes up there and like just talks to them. I think it's just cool, like the lore of that, like, oh, that this guy or this, what were
it was like one rogue Akuria.
Yeah, like that he just went off and like influenced someone, and they're like trying to get humankind to like follow this specific path. Like I like that whole idea, and I wish it was like more of like the focus, and they just sounded cool. Like the sound design there was cool. I liked Ash's like the way she was emoting in that scene, because that's a huge deal for her. She's like, what the are you serious? Like this is how, like, nah, that's crazy. Maybe I'll go and exact revenge, but now I'm kind of confused a little bit,
especially when they like say like, don't mention his name, and they like switch up issues. I was like, oh shit.
It was intense, because they're like this celestial being, and it's just like, whoa, they have feelings like we do, in the sense of like they're bitter about it, or they're, they have some resentment towards that specific person. So it's like, oh, they can, and if they can feel those emotions, then that means they can make mistakes. And then it's like, oh, so then they're not like a god figure, because they're susceptible to flaws and
I wish that Vayne was possessed by that rogue Akuria, and like with the Nephesite and the Akuria, that's why he became like a three-phase boss. I wish that was the case for him, instead of him just being like Nephesite. Because that would have been more impactful of like the whole thing, where it's kind of like, damn, are they on their own path, or what's going on? But I mean, they did win, but you know what I mean. But I mean, hey, it was still a good ass story.
Oh, wait, so you would say it's a good ass story? You enjoyed?
Yeah, I shedded a tear at the end, bro. I really was like, damn, bro, this is a great ass story. Like, had your little catch up moment afterwards, and you're like, man, everybody doing their thing, man. It's crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, I would agree, and I like the way, like you put that. I don't know that I would argue that it's a great story, but it was enjoyable still. And I do like, it was a different way to deliver a story that we've maybe seen before. And there's just like a lot of cool aspects to it. So, I mean, it was enjoyable for sure.
I feel like this would be a good ass game, like good ass story, if you replay it.
I was thinking that, I'm like, maybe now I'll have some understanding what the fuck's happening and gain some appreciation, because it's so dense, it feels like.
Yeah, like I feel like if I was to replay this, I would replay the original PlayStation 2 version without the speed up and stuff like that, and just get engrossed. Just spend a good 4 months and just and just flake through that shit. Just
yeah, I feel that's funny. Yeah,
and still only get to fucking the Sword of the Kings. But I would say that this game, for what it doesn't do with his story, it does do with his presentation. His presentation is really good.
I'm telling you, man. Like I said before, they squeezed everything they could out of the PS2, and like man. I played the original PS2 version before I jumped into the Zodiac Age on the Switch, and it still looks so good. The menus actually, I want to say, look better, honestly. Well, just real quick, I played Final Fantasy X a couple of months ago. I played the HD remaster, and the menus looked like really bland, and like they just didn't look. The UI just didn't look as like sharp. But I looked at some of the gameplay for the PS2 Final Fantasy X, and like shit it was more cohesive. It was like built for that 4x3. Like everything looks tight. Like
right.
Yeah, it's clean, and I think the same for this too. Like everything. I mean, not that it looks as bad as Final Fantasy X's UI did, but playing the original PS2 one, uh, I'm just like, damn, okay, this because they obviously design it for those TVs and for that aspect ratio. So like, it just looked better. Like there's there's a lot of empty space, I think, in like the Zodiac Age remaster.
The UI, yeah, because there's literally like black bars, like at the top and bottom for some fucking reason, and like, but
Space.
it is clean though. I do like how clean everything is. Like when you click through things, there's auto sort, just square, like everything is like. I got to a point where the menus were so fast I could just go through them and just like handle everything. I want to get your opinion on, because I know you like character designs. I wanted to get your opinion. Fuck the UI. The UI is clean. I want your specific opinion on
the
all
UI
the character
is very
designs. Clean. Because it wasn't until this morning that I realized Penelo's wearing pants.
You didn't realize she was wearing pants?
No, I thought she was wearing booty shorts this whole time. I didn't realize that she was wearing shorts with the cutoffs in the middle.
Yeah. It's like a little jumper or
like a romper with the
romper, yeah. Jumper
with the
romper.
thighs cut out.
Yeah. I have to tell you that the art direction of this game is probably one of my favorites, and that's maybe why this is one of like my favorite. Like it has to be in my top 5 for at least art direction. Yes. I mean, gameplay is great and everything, but when I was younger and I saw this game, I think, like, I mean, even just seeing the trailers and shit, I was like, this just looks so gorgeous. Like,
that very everything first cutscene is, oh my, like, even starting it, I was like, yo, this is, I know I'm in for a treat.
Yeah, you want to go through the characters then?
Yeah, man, let's go through Vaughn's 18-pack.
Okay, so actually we should just talk about real quick where the inspiration came from and why everybody's dressed the way they are. Hideo Manaba, the art director, has stated that they went to like Turkey and some other places in Europe, I think Istanbul and stuff like that, to try and get like a sense of that Mediterranean medieval look and like look at all the architecture and like what people were wearing at that time, because Final Fantasy X was more focused on like this Asian Taiwanese fusion with fantasy. So there was a specific thing they were trying to do with that, and they wanted to like bring it to like somewhere that most RPGs haven't been, and that is like that Mediterranean sort of flair. So that's why you sort of get Vaughn's like desert
Aladdin
look. Yeah, like Aladdin-esque look that is like mixed with like a knight and stuff. And what did you think of Vaughn? His look? Because I feel like
Vaughn's look is solid. It's a solid 9 out of 10. It's a great. It gives the aesthetic that it was trying to go for Vaughn, which is the street urchin. You know what I mean?
Right.
It fits perfectly. Penelo, I still don't know what the fuck going on with Penelo.
Yeah, Penelo, I liked hers. I really liked her like little like beetle wings. Like on the back. I loved that shit. I just thought it was cool. I don't know like how it didn't seem functional. I know that the character designer Akihiko Yoshida said that he was trying to create really unique and unrealistic outfits that stood out. So like when you saw that character, you'd be like, oh, that's Penelo. Like, like without even looking at the face and everything, that you immediately know what character it is based off that silhouette and stuff. So I think he succeeded in that front. And he also mentioned that he designed every character from the back, because that's where you would be looking.
That makes more sense now we're friends.
But I feel like I don't know how much that holds true with some of the. I don't know. I feel like their front is just as interesting. Bosch's.
We know who our favorites are.
Okay, what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say Baltier's front is more interesting than his back. Pause.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah, and that's why I'm like, well, you're saying that, but Balthier's front is definitely like, and the same with Bosch. His front has way more going on than the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, like them dressing like apparently or Ivalice, the region is supposed to be really hot. So like that's why like they're showing so much skin. Like it's just not a cool place unless you go to what is it, Mount Bur or
Burmy Army or something.
Yeah, yeah. Where it's like obviously like winter, but I think that was also more because like they wanted at least a good like
level.
Yeah, an ice level, like an ice temple. Um but yeah, like Vaughn looks fucking great. I love his hair, like the way it's like moving when he's fucking running and shit. It's bouncy.
It's Bobby, yeah. It's got a little
yeah,
to it.
I loved it so much. And then the lighting, whenever you're like saving, there's that blue crystal or like the yellow gold one. The way the light casts on them, I'm just like, this looks damn. This is a good like it just excited me. Like I just love shit like that. Ash, she looks fucking
stunning.
I don't
the whole
yeah,
game.
Like, yeah, that's you just don't see character designs like that. Like you can't. There's no one that looks like that. You know. Although
I like Bosch's old design when he like first got out of prison.
Yes.
That was my shit. I was like, yeah, I fuck with him. He's a good dude.
He looks so fucking sick, you know? Like,
yeah.
The long beard and like the armor thing that he had, and then they gave him like shorts and a like. I was like, what's going on here?
Shorts and a fucking
sandals and shit.
A Helly Henson and said, here you go.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like that change, and I wish you could have changed it. But yeah, they all just look so. I mean, Fran obviously looks, you know, gorgeous and very appealing. Long, she looks otherworldly. Her hair's like white and yeah, like her hands. I don't know if you saw her hands. Freaky.
They're like, talking about Penelo's?
Fran's.
Oh, Fran's? Yeah, they're like claws. They're like super long.
Yeah, they look scary for sure. Yeah, they all. I mean, I don't think you know who didn't. Who looked pretty bad though. What's the Vayne
Solidor and you talking about Larsa?
Yeah, Larsa. Yeah, his design. I was like, what the fuck?
Honestly, I thought it was a girl until like they were like Lord Larsa, Prince Larsa. I was like, what the fuck? I thought that was a girl this whole time.
Yeah, his whole. I'm like, what the fuck is he wearing? Like, it didn't. If I guess it feels like royal or like, but I don't know. I just especially because his brother looks cool somewhat.
I didn't fuck with Vayne's hair.
Oh yeah, the hair was a little.
Yeah, he felt too pretty boy for me. I felt for like the kind of villain they were trying to portray him as. Like they were trying to portray him as like a sinister,
right?
Like 2 steps ahead governor type of villain, and he just kind of felt like I'm the pretty boy, and I will kill you.
Yeah, my girlfriend saw him and she was like, "He's handsome."
Yeah, like he's too damn pretty.
Damn, yeah, he's handsome. Holy shit, yeah.
Like I feel like his second form when he kind of gets like marred by the Nethicite and he looks like old. Like I feel like, and his hair is like down. Like he's not in like the side part is just all down. I feel like that's a better like look for him in general. Was just that like he looks like a war general. Like he's big and shit. Like he's just like I'll beat the shit out you. Like he feels.
Yeah. I almost wanted it to be more. Okay, so in Final Fantasy X, the main villain looks normal, and then he transforms, and then he looks like a fucking Final Fantasy villain. But when he transformed, it sort of felt underwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, he's just buffer now? And then he, you know, was absorbing parts of the ship. And it turned into wings, and I was like... Yes, because there's all the espers. They look amazing. All the espers are so fantastic.
Are terrifying.
Yeah,
like Zodiac is the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. Because I'm just thinking about imagining yourself walking up. Because all the fucking espers, they're not just in normal spots. You gotta look for them, and you just pull up the Zodiac, and it's like literally like 2 fucking like gates. And then like a middle thing with no face is just like, hi, yes, I'm deaf. What the fuck?
They look, the design, there's like a whole lot of emphasis on their design. And they feel like they should be way more important than they are.
Yeah, they
Like,
felt like Christian angels, like how they're described in the Bible, how they're like not the wonderful white women with blonde hair and wings, like how they're portrayed in media, like how they're like literal, like I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Like
yeah,
they
like
felt
other world, like yeah, like our minds can't like wrap our
can't conceive what the fuck we're yeah.
yeah we're looking at. It's they're really incredible, and I think this game does this thing where along with giving you a sense of scale, like it does feel big and grand, and like seeing creatures like that or whatever espers summons, you're just like, holy fuck, this is kind of amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of like love that went into like a lot of this stuff. Their outfits, the every town shop was different when it could have been the same.
Yeah.
There wasn't just like one dude standing out and you go up to him and it's like a menu. It's like you go into the shop and it like looks like it looks like you'd be able to do more in the shop, but you can't.
Yeah.
You just like go and buy your shit. But like little details everywhere, like love, like so much love was put into like the world.
One thing I can give a negative bump to is the magic and techniques. They don't feel as I don't want to say impactful. They don't. Okay, let's rephrase that. They don't look like how they should. Like if you cast Viagra, it's gonna be a little flame on like each person, and it's just gonna do hella fire damage. But it's never like you're gonna cast Viagra and it's gonna be like a whole fire tornado that destroys everything around you, or like all of the techniques were literally just your character physically being like, and then just like casting something with some dumbass noise, like
The noises were cool, but yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're talking about.
Like if I cast horology, I want my character to like Dynasty Warriors, like square, triangle, the whole fucking stage.
I have to absolutely agree with you on this because this was a point of mine where I'm like, huh, it's interesting. Because like, okay, so the basic spells, which are common in all the Final Fantasy, it's like, Blizzard, Fire, and then it like they kind of evolve, so it becomes Blizzaga or Blizzara, and then Fyra or Fyraga. So there's like a naming convention, and I think it's the one with the Aga at the end, Blizzaga or Fire. Like those felt like big and like they felt appropriate, but some of the like the two before, like
felt bitch made.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, did I cast a spell or not? Like,
and
sometimes
that was my issue, especially when you get towards a lot of espers. They like specialize in like, okay, so this one's gonna cast death and darkness and everything. This one's gonna cast sap, or it felt like a lot of effects that I should have seen. I just have to look at the menus to see that, oh, I'm getting sapped. It wasn't like there was like some giant like beam that's like controlling and like pulling out of me, or like there wasn't like just a ball of darkness to come and envelop me or something crazy like that. Like everything just kind of felt like, all right, I'm done. Like,
I think that was a consequence of the ADB system. I would say that like, because it gets kind of busy. Like when things are going, when you fight, like in a boss fight, it gets busy and it's hard to keep your eye on things. And like, if it was like a turn-based, like regular RPG, if you got sapped, you would know, okay, he just got sapped. The camera would focus on it, or you'd be able to see that on this turn, this character was, got sapped or got doom or whatever disease.
You could prepare because everything's happening at the same time.
It's really hard to like focus your energy on like, or not your energy, focus your attention on what's happening, who's getting what. Oh, he's asleep. Shit. Okay, I'll go over there. Oh, okay. That's just a consequence, I would say, of that system. And I don't know, making them even more flashy would be better, because I'm sure that would just be more messy or more busy, because there's a lot of shit happening. I'm like, holy fuck, and especially if you're playing in 2x speed, it's even worse. So
or 4x speed. Like
it's like, oh shit, I'm dead. Okay, my whole party's gone.
whoa, what happened?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That is interesting. Yeah, the Technics feel so useless. I was like, what are these?
Yeah, what am I
The
doing?
Traveler?
Yeah.
Like, I think okay, so
Horology was the one I used the most, and then I didn't realize that that was based on time. And it made me
right.
feel fucking stupid. I just thought it was an AoE. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's just use an AoE.
So for those who don't know, there's the magic attacks, which are like, fire, blizzard,
Dendara.
all that, like elemental stuff. And then there's techniques that don't require any magic points from your character. And there's two specifically, one called Horology, and then one called I can't remember.
Numerology?
Yeah. One is based on time, and then the other one is based on how
many hits you've done on the enemy.
Yeah. And that's like, it doesn't really it's hard to know like the calculation or like how much damage, but either of them never did any like that much damage, so I never used them. I think there's also a Traveler one, which is the damage is proportional to how many steps you yeah, and I'm like, I've taken so many steps.
That
like,
shit should be broken.
I'm like, it's taking like 400 damage. Like, what is it, like 0.01% of the damage like equation? I don't know. So those techniques are really like are more used for characters that aren't focused on magic. So like a lot of like the melee classes have them. But yeah, they felt like pointless, But honestly, that's okay. It's not like I needed them. I had other stuff, so it was fine.
Yeah,
but
we weren't.
It would have been nice if. Yeah.
It would have been nice though if they looked different, other than point and then shit just numbers just appeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about the cities in the game? I'm sorry, I keep dropping a nail.
like a fingernail?
Yeah, my whole finger. It's like... Nah, it's just like a literal nail. I got to re-nail up a dry erase board, and I just have the nail, but it's to keep my hands from scratching this mosquito bite.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I always need something. I have like this little wire thing, I just bend it.
Just bend
it. Play with that. Wrap it around my finger. All
That's smart. That's smart. I would have a Rubik's Cube, but that would be a lot. Just be like...
So anyways, solving it in 2 hours.
Done.
Done. Next. Yeah, so the cities, I think the art direction really comes to a head, and like it really came all together in that first city, Rabanastra. Like that city,
that felt like home, man. Yeah, that was really the hood. Like that was really the spot. I didn't even need the map.
Was the hood.
I didn't even need the map towards like the end of the game. I just walked through Rabanastra like, I'm going to the weapon shop real quick. Hold up.
Yeah. It was so, yeah, and that's kind of like where I was saying earlier, that everything was so beautifully designed. The architecture there was just like, it felt dense, and it felt like
there's so many NPCs, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so used to other JRPGs where I'm like, oh my god, I need to talk to every person. They're gonna have a side quest. They're gonna have something for me, like the anxiety. And then I just realized like, nah, they're just literally here. Like I think in arcades, you'll talk to people and they're like, excuse me, we're having a fucking conversation. Can you not? I really loved arcades as a city. When you get there and you're going through the slum and you have to actually like eavesdrop and talk to people to get information and sneak into the city. And then when you actually see the city and you're like, this is New York. This is Republic City from Legend of Korra. Like this is some advanced level stuff. And it's such a good contrast from Rabanastra that just felt like desert fantasy. And then you have this metropolis and you're like, what the fuck? This is what we're going up against?
What's that city in Star Wars Attack of the Coruscant, I want to say?
Yeah, Coruscant? Yep.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Like my design, yeah. But yeah, it was
completely unintentional.
It's just so smartly designed. Like the way they there was so much intention with and so much focus that each city really had its own feel, more so. And okay, so most JRPGs or RPGs have like different cities with their own feels, but like this one just felt like it just felt so stylized. Like, okay, this is the look we're going for, and then it was really cool. Yeah, and when you're talking about the new arcades and like the old one or whatever, when you go through like the music, like the shift,
Man,
I'm like, damn, this is like
some of those Esper themes, I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Like, it is such a great sound. Like, I feel like the orchestra soundtrack really encapsulated the grand solidor of everything.
the grand. Yeah. I remember reading someone saying like, oh, the original didn't have like the actual orchestral soundtrack, right? And
It didn't?
yeah, no, it didn't. So it felt lacking. Yeah, it was just like, MIDI sounds, I guess. So this reorchestrated version really fucking just brings out like that feeling of scale, that sense of scale that we keep talking about. It's so good. I bought the soundtrack, so
I did listen to it on Apple Music. I did.
Yeah,
I'm
a big supporter of like buying the stuff that you love. Like I'll buy albums. Like I bought Tyler's album. I bought what did I buy last? Final Fantasy X, the album. I bought that. Not the album, the soundtrack. But no, like I'm just those guys work so hard to create this, and I'm just like, I want to support you, and I'm buying it. So like I usually do that, and I also have like a streaming service, because there's sometimes when I'm like, let me listen to this first before I decide if it's good or not, and then I'll buy it.
See, I'm more of a, if I'm gonna buy music, not stream it, I have to buy the vinyl. Like I'm a very vinyl person. Like if I can find a Sonic Adventure 2 vinyl, good luck, Charlie, because that shit's on replay all day.
This was the only Final Fantasy that was not composed by Nobuo Uematsu. So that Nobuo Uematsu has been doing the music for Final Fantasy since like anyone can remember. And like just to reinforce the idea that they really wanted to do something different with Final Fantasy 12, they got a whole new composer. They're like, hey, you've been with us for like 10 games, but we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna get this guy who I don't think he's even done any other. Maybe he did Vagrant Story. I can't remember.
Possibly.
But they're like, yeah, we're just gonna have someone entirely new. We're also gonna have everything look different. This is gonna be like nothing you've ever played, but also it's gonna be the most divisive Final Fantasy. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was interesting. Before we go on to like gameplay, I was gonna ask you who your favorite character design was. Was it Balthier? Is that what you said, or was that your favorite character?
Honestly, I would go with Vaughn.
Yeah,
either Vaughn, or if we want to get even wilder, I would go with Judge Gabram.
Oh, right.
I really loved Judge Gabram's look. It was really nice. I was like, yeah, he feels like a crazy powerful dude. Who was yours?
It's probably a toss-up between Ash, Vaughn, or Penelo. Like Ash is
pretty solid, yeah.
I really like. I know, like a lot of people are like, oh, she's wearing like a little booty skirt, and obviously, like, there's a lot of. I feel like, okay, you can tell when a design is like, oh, this is just meant to be overtly sexual. But I'm like, there's a lot of class in this design, regardless if like she's wearing a little booty short skirt.
She's a
thing,
queen
like,
of a desert. I mean, fuck, she can wear booty shorts, bro.
Yeah,
in a desert.
The harder one to explain is probably the Vieira Franz design.
Because then when you meet the rest of the Vieira and they're all pretty much clothed, you're like,
yeah, I'm just like, I mean, there's a couple that like are also dressed like her, but it is such a isolated foreign species, and they're in a human ass forest. Like, it would make sense that they wouldn't feel the need for all this clothes, but I don't know. I think she still looks cool, but it was hard to play her when my girlfriend was around. I was like, oh, all right. This probably looks.
It's just because my party leader died, and I haven't changed it yet. I promise.
I just need to cast a phoenix down. Real
Listen,
quick.
I'm just grinding right now, and it's not what it looks like.
It's not. I swear, but yeah, I would say like Ash, Vaughn, or Penelo. probably leaning more towards Ash, but they all just look so damn good. And I think that's something that's understated.
There's no cap
in
sifs in this cast.
Final Fantasy X. Those designs are really good, but like some of them were like really bad as well. And like you want your party members at the very least to look the best, you know.
You're talking about Catman?
Final Fantasy X, like they had what's his name?
Slutty
the
Wizard.
The guy with
Catman.
the blitz ball. What
Waka?
Yeah, Waka. How did you haven't played it?
Grand Wizard Waka.
Anyways, yeah,
That
Waka,
racist
like
son of a...
he looks so like lame. I'm just like, this is I don't want you in my party. You look like just a normal NPC. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, this, I think Akihito Yoshida being one of my favorite character designers just in general. Yeah, he just nailed it here. And yeah, that's kind of all I think I have to say about the like presentation, you know.
Touche.
Oh, well, do you want to also talk about the environments in like this area? Like as far as like because I have some qualms. I have some problems about some of these environments. Like not how they look, but the design, because some of them, those temples, dude.
We can go to gameplay and talk about them because it really helps out.
Okay.
With the context of everything, because this game, as we said before, it uses the ADB system, this is the only game technically to use the ADB system, which is essentially it's a MMO, and you control all your characters, and you pretty much visually script the AI for what you want them to do, like we were explaining earlier, where it's like, hey, if I want my healer to make sure that if I reach 60% health, you automatically cast Cure, or if this enemy's weak to fire, use fire, or you can set crazy combos like, hey, when we get in this game, when we get in this fight, I want you to cast oil to make him susceptible to fire. Then I want you to cast fire so that it does double damage, or like, hey, when there's more than 3 enemies around, I want you to cast protect on the lowest defense party member, and I want you to cast this AoE spell. Or if you're confused, I want you to, like, you can really get in depth, and it gets to a point where you don't even, like, I didn't even need to change my gambits at a certain point. I kind of was just like, we're good. This is the rest of the game. This is all they need to do. We are excellent right here.
Definitely a system where granularity is the name, because you could get very down to like if this enemy has 50,000 HP, then use this move. But if they don't, then they'll use a different move. Like you could really play around and like I really liked it, but I do see where the complaints of like, oh, it was boring, you know, kind of come in.
Yeah, because if you do your gambits well, you can really never have to change them ever. Like I think I only really messed around with gambits only because I was getting new spells and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, let's add those to the repertoire of the gambits. But if you don't change your gambits, I mean, you literally aren't pressing a button, like, because you're setting the gambits for the character you play as well. So you're literally just moving. That's it. And going through the environments and stuff like that. You're not really clicking the menus and going through. Very seldom do you click the menu and go through and stuff like that, unless you have to emergency heal or emergency use an item and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I can see why people would say, like, you know, the game's playing itself. And there were times where it was a little frustrating because I would set up a good gambit and like I'd have to maybe go in there and turn certain ones off because you list them like priority, like what happens first, you know, in that order, and you can kind of, you're essentially just programming the character to do whatever. But yeah, like sometimes there was one, what was the situation? I think I had somebody casting a specific spell and someone else did reflect, and they just like kept casting it on this person, and then they depleted all of their magic points.
That's happened to me a lot of times. I
was
stopped
like,
using reflect in general because of that, because I didn't realize it also reflected cure spells. So I was like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, this is
never using reflect again.
Yeah, there's a couple instances where like my gambits weren't properly set up, and you definitely had to go in there and like think, okay, I need to switch this up. You had to make them like general enough, but also specific enough to like cover a variety of situations. So there was a bit of thinking involved there, which I don't know. It was fun to mess with, you know. And I would prefer this over a normal turn-based like affair. You know,
Right.
like yeah, it's just so much. It's just more fluid, and maybe if there was like a combo system involved or something, that'd be kind of cool. Now.
Yeah, if you actively controlled your character and then the rest of them were gambits,
Yeah, yeah,
or
that would be cool. Like a mix of something else.
I think my main gripe with this system really is the license board. The Zodiac Age reboot, in the original game, everybody had the exact same license board, which is pretty much like your spirit board or spear grid or everything else. It's like your character progression, how you unlock new spells and stuff like that.
Your skill tree.
Yeah, your skill tree. The original game, everybody had the exact same skill tree, so everybody could be built the same. Everybody could have the same stuff. Everybody can use the same things. It was up to you to carve them into a niche. But with this game, they actually introduced jobs, the Zodiac job system. I mean, it's in the name. And so there's 12 jobs, and then there's a re-release. They made it to where you can have a sub job and have two jobs at once. So it kind of flows a lot better because you have your specific, like, okay, he's an archer, he's going to use a bow. Oh, okay, he's a machinist, he's going to use a gun. But I felt like the license board, which my gripe was that I felt there wasn't enough meaningful choices to make it seem like I felt like I was just maxing out the whole board. I didn't feel like I was making choices to build out a specific niche. Like every archer is going to be the same archer. Like if you make a white mage machinist, it's going to be a white mage machinist. It's not going to be, you know what I mean, your specific one. Like there isn't like special licenses. I think that's what they're called, where it'll be like, hey, you have less equipment. You can't equip accessories, but you have an increase to physical damage, or hey, you have life steal on plant monsters, or like, hey, your great sword damage is greatly increased, but your speed is lower. Like there wasn't any negatives to the licenses, but there wasn't really anything else to make me build out my characters to really, I don't want to say make them OP, but just to make them feel more like because there's certain jobs where they have like 6 different weapon types, and none of them really made me feel like, okay, this is the one I need to go to. You know what I mean? There was like 30 fucking accessory slots. So it's like, what?
I think the license board system, what I was reading, the director was talking about how the license system came into play because it's supposed to reinforce a story element. And that element being that the Empire sort of has this bureaucratic way of doing things, you know, and it's like a rigid sort of thing. So like in order for you to like equip certain accessories or anything, learn a new spell, you need a license for it. And like it's supposed, yeah. So it was supposed to sort of be, and this is one of those things where it's like the story and the world and how it affects gameplay. And I thought that was a really cool example of like how like the in-game stuff affects the in-world stuff, you know? Just because like, okay, I can't just like get this thing. I have to get a license for it, you know, which is very bureaucratic, you know, where like you have to actually take several like, oh, if you want to build I guess in real life, obviously like you need certain licenses to do certain things to build a new shop or something. You need to get a property license, and then you need XYZ, and like it's just like a very bureaucratic system because the license system it functions as a skill point system. Like the license points are essentially your skill points,
Right.
But to rename it like licenses, like in order to use this, I need this many license points or whatever. I thought it was pretty clever, but also could have been implemented in a more obvious way that's what it was trying to do, or like could have just been called a skill points. Well, kind of, because it'd be weird to expend skill points to
get a license.
Yeah. So
yeah.
It's kind of
like if it was a skill board, it wouldn't really change the fact, because I didn't know that until you just mentioned that right now. Like I didn't know that was in did they mention that in game, or was that like just a design thing that they
that was the director who had talked about it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like just like how the story affected the way we do things in game. So it's actually really good, like game design, but it probably needed a little bit more polish. But I agree with you as far as like the jobs, they didn't feel like, and this is probably why they weren't in the final game or in the first initial release, yeah, because they don't feel too complementary of each. Yeah, it just feels like overkill at some point, and you're like juggling all this. So it just felt like, oh, like, well, here's just more that we came up with, but we didn't really fine tune them to complement each other. It wasn't like a specialization. You weren't gonna like pick white mage and then you become a like more focused version of a white mage. It's like, oh, a white mage, and then
you get white mage spells, and then you're gonna mix that. Like me, I mix my white mage with machinist, so that Fran was using a gun while casting heal. It just felt
So I mean, it was nice because it was just like you could kind of have whatever you wanted, but it did feel like there was a little like there wasn't that much thought into how they interacted with each other. Gameplay. So license board, really interesting idea, like you were saying. But also the two roles, the two jobs, it was negligible. It's like, okay, now. Because you maxed yours out pretty quickly, right? So I guess it gave you more to.
Yeah, because there's like a couple hunts that give you like the golden amulet that doubles the license points. So I had 3 of them. So whenever I was grinding, which is a compliment to this game, that it's very fun to grind. I would be grinding, and then I wouldn't realize it. Like, oh shit, I got 1,000 license points. What the hell? And then I would just knock them out. Like both jobs were maxed out by the time I was level 50, and it made me go like, damn, there's like a whole 49 more levels. It's just kind of crazy.
I think it would have been cool to have 2 things. One is like visible like armor changes.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a shame because obviously the character designs are so good. So obviously if they're changing armor, they're going to look different. But like you get so many pieces of armor and stuff, and it's just like at some point you don't even really need like the best thing. I'm just like, I guess I'm fine. Like I just got this new like chest piece or whatever, and it gives like, but
it actually gives me negative stats. Okay.
like at some point I was just like, I guess I'm good. Like I don't know. I didn't feel the need at some point to get anything like I don't know, better, I guess. But
yeah, I feel like this would be that's what I was saying. Like this game would be really fun to replay, because I feel like if I replayed this, I wouldn't grind as much. And I would go out of my way to look for like the ultimate weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know like the only ultimate weapon other than the ultimate blade that I got was the ultimate pistol gun. I got that one, and then I also got the ultimate katana. Those are the only 2 I got, and both of those I was like, I mean, I guess they do damage, but it wasn't really like I was like pressed for them.
Yeah, that's interesting because I remember seeing them on the license board. Just so everybody knows, like the license board, you can like see what thing is next. You know, you can kind of like preview like what it is that you're gonna unlock. You can go around the entire board and like see, okay, oh, this box unlocks this armor, this weapon, or whatever. So you can always kind of see what's coming. You know, you can kind of map out like what you want to go for. And there was like some pieces outside of the license board. I don't know if you like kind of know what I'm talking about, but like that had like the really good like armor and shit like that. And I'm like, where is that at? And it's probably it's probably through a hunt, but I never felt like, oh, I need to go get that.
Yeah, like, it was kind of just like
I'm like, oh, I guess.
Because I think the gun, I didn't realize I got it. It's because I was hunting espers, and then I got it, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? This is this gun? Because like the ultimate weapons in the license board, they're just that weapon, and you have to unlock this license. So you know, like, okay,
it's
that's
like
a good one right there.
Like the Gigas armor or like stuff like that. Yeah, and it's funny because with the hunts, whenever you went on a hunt and completed it, and you went back to the like requester of the hunt, they would give you a like little box that appears and it shows what you got as a reward.
And it's
And,
always
like-
shit that you been had.
Yeah, it's all the time. I was like, that's it. I mean, that was fun. That was cool because like it does feel like an adventure to like hunt for. It's very Monster Hunter-esque where you kind of have to like track like you're sort of told like, okay, this monster will only come out if it's all females in your party, or they only come out if it's raining or whatever. So like you're kind of walking around these big like sections of the environment, and it's kind of it's kind of exciting because you're like, oh fuck, is this guy gonna be hard? Like there is like an element of danger, and it is really fun. But like the rewards sometimes they just weren't enough, you know. And then also it would just show the name of something and like you would forget about it. And there was so many times when I went into my inventory and I'd be like, whoa, what is this? How long have I had this thing?
I would hit
Like, 'cause you know,
optimize
like-
and be like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. When you would hit optimize, I'm like, wait, I have this?
That's how I found out about the gun. I was like, oh, okay.
Or I would buy I would buy it not knowing that I already had it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, wait, I already have this from this hunt? Oh shit. All right, well fuck. So I don't know. But it was the hunts, that was probably like the game at its best, I want to say.
Hunts and espers. Like I didn't really do a lot of hunts, but I did a lot of the esper hunting towards the end, and that felt because there were certain side quests you had to do to unlock certain parts to fight this specific esper, and I was like, it was just so fun to get to all of them. And I think I quit after the one that's in the waterway. I think that's one of the only one that and Ultima. I fought Ultima at like level like 45, and it was like a level 65 boss. I'm like, I struggled for like ever fighting Ultima, trying to kill it, and then got so close, and my game fucking crashed. I just said, "Fuck it, this is it. I'm just done."
I beat the game.
I beat the game.
One thing that's another double-edged sword for this game where they were trying to do something new was like the way that side quests are sort of given to you, they're hidden like behind hunts, and you have to like talk to certain people at the right moment in like the story, and it encourages you to like go around and like speak to people and stuff like that. But I feel like that really gave it like a sense of like, oh like there's that one, like I don't know if you were in the there's this one level where I forget the name of the actual location, but it's where you have to like mess with the water pressure, you know, to like raise these floating islands, and it creates a path to the top. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that is a side mission, but it's so like if you don't talk to that person at the right time or whatever, like you wouldn't know that that's a thing. You like there's so many like closed off paths, and you're like, oh, I guess that'll unlock with the story, or maybe I'll find another way around. But there's a little bit of like due diligence that you have to give to be able to like, you know, experience some of these side quests, and I feel like that is cool, like because it feels like an adventure.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're like, fuck, what did I miss out on? Or like, what is this side quest, or how do I get this? There's a lot of confusion because you don't know like what to do. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think about that aspect? Like, because it is a double-edged sword. Like, you can either hide.
Because there is some like specific side quests that you need to do to unlock specific like side paths, and like there isn't like a side quest list or something like that, so you can double check like, oh, okay, I did talk to this guy, and this is what I was supposed to do. So you have to like vividly remember what's going on. So there's certain things like that I felt like I was like, I don't know if it's just because this game is old as shit, or if
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny, but I mean, it kind of helps out because the main thing about this game that I really like is exploring the world. Like every area I went through, it felt fun exploring them, minus a couple of dungeons, but
all the dungeons,
you're right.
No.
You're right. You're right. All the dungeons, because what was the one where you got to fight Bellius? Bro, it took me like 5 fucking seconds. I mean, like, not 5 seconds. It took me like 5 minutes to figure out, oh, I need to equip the Dawnstone. And then
my God.
Like, it's shit like that I'm like, I'm not thinking about that. Or,
that was a
Idora Cataract. Oh my gosh. Going through the, like, teleport thingies, and you gotta sacrifice this.
I had to write that down, like what my path was for like, because it's like, oh, the yellow crystal, blue crystal, black crystal. Like I had to write it down, like, because obviously, like when you did the wrong sequence of crystals, you got sent back, or
All
no,
the
you
way
got
to the
sent
bottom, and you
or
had
you
to
got
fight
sent-
your way out.
Yeah, I always lost too. Like I was kicking my ass. I was like, holy shit!
You got to
this-
struggle through there.
Yeah, so a lot of these hardships, I think, like during it's one of those things where it's like, you know, when you go through rough times, it's annoying and like frustrating at the time, but when you think back on it, it's like, damn,
That wasn't even
that was
that
kind of
bad.
fun. You know, or like that was funny, or like it just really built an experience and it made it feel like an adventure, even though these environments were like super, like the dungeon environment specifically, like they were just so like they're always too long, and they all like looked the same, and it was just like inversions of the same path, and it felt like what you would probably experience as a real dungeon. Like if we had dungeons, like, well, I guess maybe we probably do, but somewhere underneath in Europe or something.
We got
But,
real
like,
dungeons, bro. Hold on. Which information you know?
no, like you know how like there's those under the city, like, you know.
Yeah, the London sewers are definitely a dungeon.
Yeah,
There's demons
like-
in there, and there's something in there that you gotta fight. There's something. There's a
All
mini
right,
boss
so,
or two.
so you know what I'm talking about, and there's
Yeah.
probably more dungeons that we don't know about. But like, if you and me were like, hey, let's become adventurers, let's go to this dungeon, that would probably be us. The feeling of like these dungeons, because it's so confusing, and like the map, I'm just like, wait, what?
You gotta actually look at riddles and figure this shit out. Oh, I gotta
like
move this thingy, blah. Like it gets to the point where like the save crystal is a mimic.
Yeah, like it was trying your patience for sure. It was like, no, this is a dungeon for sure. Like you're gonna be tested, your patience and your strength. Like, they were really annoying to me, but when I think back on it, I'm like, man, but that felt like an adventure.
Yeah, because I forgot what dungeon it was where you go through the whole thing and then you get to the end and then Mateus is just there like, hi, I'm an Esper, fight me now. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa. Or like the Redea contract where you fight like 4 fucking Espers in there and you're like, yo, what's going on? Like you finish a stage of an annoying stage, go fight an Esper, go up, and you still got to do an annoying stage to fight another Esper. It's like,
It was, and honestly, playing this back in 2006 as a kid, absolutely not. I wouldn't.
no.
I wasn't ready for this game, and that's sort of an interesting thing to think about, is games that you're like mature enough to get through.
Definitely.
Because like, yeah, this is one of those games, I would say.
This is definitely not one of the games I could have beaten as a kid. And I tell you that because I probably would have skipped all the cutscenes and been like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's just so vague. Like, there's so many things that are like not clearly said, like what you need to do, like equipping the dusk shard to your person so that you can get through that door, you know, in that one dungeon, or some of the riddles, dude. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I had to look them up. I'll be honest, I could not figure them out.
There was a lot
Like-
of dungeons I looked up. I wouldn't have beaten this game if it wasn't for a guide. Because
The-
the
yeah.
Redea contract, I definitely would have like I would have been it. I would have rage quitted on there if I didn't look at a guide.
The crystal one, dude, where you're in the crystal, like, and it's all like gold
Oh,
in there. or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That's
yeah, and you
the
gotta-
one I needed. I could
Yeah.
not complete that.
That's
one
how I
without it.
accidentally ran into Ultima because I tried going through that whole thing. I did the whole thing without a guide, that one.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get out. I ran into because it opens up immediately and I ran straight into Ultima. I was like, I guess I gotta fight it.
And that's the thing, like, you don't know if it's like part of the story or not, because it's just like, oh, did I just happen upon this, or is this like part of the progression? Yeah, that place was fucking. That's the place where I was like, I don't know about these dungeons, man.
Yeah, he's
Like-
not holding up, boy.
And I read a lot of people feel that way about that level. Like, it's a lot of people think it's like terrible level design, and because it all was like pretty much the same room with the crystal in the middle, and like you just access the crystal and then it opens up a path and you have to like remember what path it opened up, and it was just mind-boggling because there's no visual indicators to like let you know, like, oh, okay, I've been here, or like this goes south, or this goes like
Yeah, the map doesn't show for you or nothing. It's just, yeah, it's kind of weird.
yeah, that's such a weird level. But yeah,
Maybe
I
we
was like
just didn't
reading.
read flavor text enough. Maybe it's us.
No,
Some
a lot
dude's
of
like, you just didn't read that one statue. I told you, obviously, you needed to.
Why did
He's
you
yellow.
skipped it?
But you weren't reading.
Because I went to the Reddit for Final Fantasy XII, and yeah, people are like, yeah, that level's fucking like terrible. I don't know if I would agree that's terrible because I feel like it makes sense. Like you're inside a crystal, like it would be like abstract and like mind bending and like not clear, but maybe that just doesn't equate to fun.
Yeah, I'd say like the final 2 dungeons make sense as the final 2 dungeons. Like they feel like dungeons. Like the rest of the world feels like locations, like environments that you just so happen, like the world that you just so happen to be in, and shit's happening or like stuff's really hard. I didn't really feel like, you know what I mean, dungeons, but those 2 specifically felt like, okay, like all the tombs, like the tomb of Wraithwall, or yeah, the Great Cataract, or the Crystal, or there's another dungeon, not Drake Lore's laboratory. There's another dungeon I'm forgetting. Another one of those fucking...
Was it the Nabradia prison or whatever when you're breaking out of there?
That's
kind of
yeah.
And then obviously like the mines too, that were kind of dungeon-esque.
Yeah, they felt like dungeons, but the rest of the world felt like the world. And even when you're playing them, you don't really feel like a sense of danger when you're in like the environment. You're just like, oh, okay. Oh shit, it's a giant dragon. Oh, okay. But when you're in the dungeon, you're like, oh, slimes. What's going on?
Yeah. But I think that's what this game gets right. Like just that, and I hate to, keep saying this, but it does feel like an adventure because like every time I knew that I was gonna go into a dungeon, I was like, oh my god, this is about to be a fucking pain. Like
it felt some high potions.
Yeah, it felt daunting. Like that feeling of just like, 'cause we play so many games now, and like it just feels like, oh, okay, whatever. Like I'll knock this out. But like for a game to actually give you a sense of like dread, or like a sense of like just feeling like over encumbered, or like just like, damn, this is about to be a whole ass thing. I need to be prepared to complete this level. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You know
I know
what
you mean. I know what
like
you mean.
like it's like
gameplay wise, I don't really have any complaints other than like min-maxing wise. Like it's a very like you play it once you get that, like
I want a sequel.
Yeah. It's very daunting when you first play it and you're playing through the combat. You're like, I don't really fuck with this. But then once you get the hang of it and gambits and more party members start coming in, it really hits a stride. And then once you get going, it just is. It's a very. I don't want to say I felt like a passenger because that feels bad. That sounds bad, but it felt. Yeah, like I was a passenger. I'm doubling down. I'm putting my foot down.
I felt like
I was enjoying the ride, and I had my feet up on the dash, and I was just like, "Go ahead, Vine, keep driving."
Sipping some whiskey.
Yeah, drinking some Jame OJ.
Callback to episode 4. I don't even know. It is. I do want to bring up the fact that I did kind of go through the last 2 bosses like on autopilot. Like,
bro, the final boss, I don't even know what just like happened, bro.
I was just like, cool. Like I got this, and like, it was like a little bit of management with some of the items and like spells, but like it was super passive. But like I kind of, when you think about a JRPG or just an RPG in general that's turn-based, it's like
you gotta fight.
Like like what I'm saying is that like you're just selecting the like items and stuff, and so for people to say like, oh, that's way better than this, I'm like, going through menus, what's the difference between just getting all that shit done out of battle, and then just like letting it play out, just like American football.
Just like American football, you just run the plays.
Just run the plays. And I liked that aspect of it. Like, okay, let me get all this shit up and let me see if I can tackle this boss. And then on the fly, I can make my little changes. But, like, I don't see how that's more or less engaging than being like, okay, I have to select it. Okay, now do this move like 10 times, attack, and I have to select it every time. And it's just like watching, like, it's almost the same. It's just like deferring when you do it. And so people that are saying like this was boring or like it played itself, it's like
you're on your own with that, my boy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, I don't like gameplay wise. I don't know, bro. It's just chef kiss. It's just like, what else can I say?
It was a game that was too ahead of its time.
Yeah,
Because
like
it's better received now.
yeah, as a kid or even like younger, like I feel like this is the perfect time for me to play this game. And if I played it any sooner, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. But because I told myself and I broke it down and I said, listen, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take, I remember, I think it was episode 2. We were like, we're going to play Final Fantasy 12. And we just need to sit down and prepare and go through it all. And that was the one where it was like, yeah, like it felt, I don't know. I felt like I had the patience for it.
I can't believe we played fucking like 50 hours.
I'm hip.
Honestly.
I'm hip.
I'm like, I can't, like, we just, I don't know. I was kind of surprised because I mean,
Now we got to play
obviously
Persona 3 on
Oh
that's a back of the rack title right there. Nah.
Oh my god.
You want to talk about hours? Yeah, it will be 50 hours and still be on the fucking intro.
Seriously. All that talking and shit. That was nice too. This game respected your time.
Yeah, because it wrapped up. It didn't overstay its welcome. I feel like 30, 40 hours was a good, like, it was just enough.
Like there's not a lot of talking as far as, I mean, maybe that's why maybe there could have been more talking and explaining things, but like Persona 5, let's just say like
They talk too much.
Yeah, it's constantly them story and character, and I'm like, okay, but like when do I get to play though?
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, and it would have been cool if they had banter during the automatic combat or stuff. They
Yeah,
didn't.
or if
Notice
like
that?
they do, yeah, or if they had like combos, like I think that's why Final Fantasy 15 added that, because like in 15, like from what I've seen in the combat, like they'll be like pronto and like
Yeah, it is.
and they have
that
the
was
tag
always
team
super
attacks.
cool.
Yeah, so I think that
I don't
might
know.
be the case, because I mean
Yeah.
that gameplay is kind of similar a little bit, but you don't really do the specific gambits. You know what I mean? They kind of have their own AI, and you just kind of
Yeah, I would say Final Fantasy VII Remake is closer to Final Fantasy XII's system. But I think you're right to say that that's probably why they added it in 15, because in Final Fantasy 12, they don't say anything outside of the cutscenes. And
But to be fair, that might be memory constraints though, because
yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're right.
Because they got to have all these FMVs, all the dialogue, all the music, all these environments, all these effects. Like they just all the it was a lot. All on a PlayStation 2 disc.
What did you think about? God, I feel like there's still so much to talk about, but maybe I'm okay. So, what did you think about the special moves? What are the special moves called again?
Oh, the quickenings. Oh,
There's
I forgot
special
about the
moves.
quickenings.
Yeah, I didn't play anything about it, but like that was I don't know, man.
I didn't like them.
I mean, either.
I used
the
them.
Musos were weak.
Yeah, I used them, but like they didn't fuck with them. I didn't like the idea of I use it. Yeah, and shuffling, mischarge, like all that shit. It just felt like I was like, bro, what the fuck am I like? They made it because I had to combo like 14 of them to do some significant amount of damage. It made them all feel like they weren't like as powerful as they were.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I use it, I'm like, that's it. I think
And
the
they
most
didn't
I
even do
did was,
AoE.
like, yeah, some of them were cool, and it would have been cool to have like team ones and stuff. But yeah, it was a little bit like it fell flat. And I do love special moves in like an RPG where the character has like their special move. And yeah, I just never was compelled to use them because I'm like, it does no damage. And what are the chances I'm going to be able to do 10 in a row right now? Like it's fine.
Yeah.
There
were certain bosses that I could like finesse it, or I can just like knock out like a good 12-piece combo, and it'll knock them down to where they do their like, "Rawr!" And then I would just beat their ass afterwards. But like towards halfway through the game, especially like most of the espers, they aren't even like susceptible to like magic or physical damage. So a lot of the times I would do a whole like 16 combo, like, oh, this is the best I've ever done, only for them to be like,
A chip? Yeah, on the yeah. It was
did
like
nothing.
So this was your first Final Fantasy proper.
This is my first Final Fantasy.
Welcome
To the game. As I try to dive into fucking 14. Jesus Christ.
So what are you actually going to dive into 14? Because you put that on Twitter and I was.
Oh, that is patched. That's been patching this entire podcast.
Oh, so you're actually going to be playing?
Oh, yeah. It's in the background patching.
Oh shit! Damn. I'm gonna get it then.
Yeah, I mean, did you know that the critically acclaimed? What the fuck is this creepypasta? The critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward is now free to play with the free to
people
trial.
are so horny over that game.
See,
I played it when it first came out, and I was like, okay, cool. But like, I'm guessing that those expansions that they've added, because people are fucking
and then also you got to remember that like, as an MMO refugee.
What does that mean, Sondi? I ask you, what is an MMO refugee?
So like everybody has their one MMO, and then it shuts down, and then you become a nomad, and you just travel from free to play to buy to play to whatever MMO until it dies, and then you go to the next one and the next one, and it keeps going. So I was at that point when I played Final Fantasy 14 the first time. I was a nomad. So like I was so used to MMOs having shitty stories from playing all the free to play ones that like the story doesn't exist, that you can just skip it and do your quest and keep going. That's what I did with 14, and I didn't realize I should probably play this like a Final Fantasy game and then just think of, oh, there's other people around. But I never really. So that's what I'm going to do this time. And I didn't realize too that like it's been crossplay this entire time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll probably play on PC, right?
Yeah, but I was thinking about maybe downloading on PlayStation 5 just because I didn't realize it's crossplay, so you can just play with other people. And like some dude was like, yeah, bro, I didn't realize my guild leader was on PlayStation this whole fucking time until she was like, yeah, just press L1. And it's like, wait, what?
Oh my god.
You ain't using macros? What the fuck? Yeah.
You know what? Oh, I forgot to ask you. Well, hold on. What do we have anything more to that's fine. Okay, so
we're done. Final Fantasy 12, guys.
Well, because I was thinking, I'm like, I think we kind of covered almost everything that we would want to talk about without like extending it too much, I think.
Yeah, like I feel like Final Fantasy 12 is just like, it's one of those things where it's just like
offline MMO.
It's a good ass game. It's just like clap clap. You finish a game, you go, that was a good ass game, and you just go, damn man, that was great, that was good, and then just keep moving.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was really good.
Let me not knock down the actual JMO. I'm sorry. You thought I was kidding. I really do hate Jam.
Oh my god. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend this game. Absolutely. Especially if you like RPGs, especially if you like Final Fantasy, because this is sort of a historic game, not because of how it was received, but rather because of the position it was in. You know, it was the last like Final Fantasy that was on the PS2, and then the Final Fantasy 13 was announced, and it took away some of its thunder, you know, so it's just like an interesting, and it's also like the moment Final Fantasy sort of shifted from that turn-based to like what it is now. So it's just like a cool moment in time. And I think its look is so timeless. Like these aren't anime, they don't look like anime or anything. They just look like real people, but stylized and like.
I feel like this game in 20 years will still be playable. Like I feel like there will come a time when 16-bit and all that stuff, people will go, I'm just not gonna play that. Because you're gonna think about like the kids that are born nowadays in 20 years, like they're gonna have PlayStation 5 graphics as like their go-to. So like this will be their 16-bit.
Yeah,
in essence. And like I think even then it'll still look just as good as a game 20 years from now. That's how good this game looks and plays.
Art style. Yeah, the art style and everything, like it doesn't age. It feels very timeless.
Yes. And I feel like this was as someone that has never played a Final Fantasy game, this was the best Final Fantasy game to get into the series and understand The story. See, look, you're looking at me like, nah, bro.
No. I was gonna say put that on Twitter. No. I agree with you. I didn't start with obviously. My first Final Fantasy was I can't remember right now, but I was gonna say put what you just said on Twitter and let's see how people.
Let's see how they rip me to shreds. Like no.
Yeah, because you're saying some real.
3 is obviously the one.
Yeah, that's wild, but I don't disagree with you. I think it's a great entry. Honestly, I don't know.
It's a good ass game, man.
Yeah.
It's good ass.
That's what's special about Final Fantasy, and I think people forget is that each one does its own thing. Final Fantasy VII is way different than Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy VIII is different than 6. I haven't played 6 or 8.
1 is way different from 13.
Yeah, like they do their own things in each, and that's what it's not like Call of Duty where it's like annualized.
You know what you're getting. You're going to shoot somebody.
Yeah, no, these games it's like Final Fantasy is like, okay, how can we deliver this in this unique way now? That'll obviously make a good amount of money, but like artistically, what can we change? And that's what I like about the franchise is that it just does something different, and people just don't like it. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can't say like I'm a huge Final Fantasy buff, but like it has a special place in my gaming history. I would say for sure. But along the lines of MMOs, I've downloaded. So I've played a couple. I played Final Fantasy XIV, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a little bit too much." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Like
this
if
is
I
a long time ago.
Yeah, like if I go into Final Fantasy XIV now, I'm going to go into it as I'm going to play this game as a Final Fantasy game. I'm not going to play it as a MMO. You know what I mean?
It's good. I remember liking it. I want to go back, but it's like I think right now it's daunting, and then it's an MMO, so that's time. that's a lot of time.
I ain't got that.
Yeah, I'm trying to play other things. But I have let's see some other MMOs I've played, and I actually just downloaded last night because I'm like I feel like playing an MMO. But I've just downloaded some free to play ones that were on the PS4 store. So I got Bless Unleashed. Have you heard of this?
Uninstall it right now. Uninstall it right now. Please. I'm trying to save you the storage space.
Terra?
Yeah, you can do the same for that too.
And then Skyforge.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Those are the only. That's all that's on there. I just downloaded what was on there. What?
I can't believe you, bro. I quit.
What?
Bro, listen. First of all, Bless Online. It failed out in the East. Then it came here. It failed twice on PC. And then they were just like, let's just drop a console version. And I'm surprised that one's still up.
So, okay, all right, hold on. So I played the intro for Bless Unleashed. I tried out some of the classes. And it doesn't seem that bad to me, but I don't think I'm going to continue playing it.
Oh, you shouldn't.
I was just like, nah, okay. And then Terra, I've played Terra before in the past.
Terra's actually really good.
Yeah.
Like all jokes aside, Terra's good.
Yeah, and it feels like a MMO for sure. Like it has that feel to it. I played that for like a month, like 3 or 4 years ago. And then Skyforge, I've played a little bit of, and that's also I don't know. Maybe I'm just like want more Final Fantasy 12, but something.
What I'm gonna do is when I'm not playing Samurai Warriors or some shit over here, and I just feel like sitting, watching some sports or something, I'll just play some Final Fantasy a little bit. Well, just a little bit.
That you retweeted an image, and it was like like a poorly drawn image, and it's just like my ADHD brain. And then you're like playing like 3 games, and I'm like a podcast running in a movie.
That is my literal everyday. It's some shit here, 2 shits here, some shit on my phone, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's so much stimulus. We're crazy. Okay, so
what have you gotten in a fucking week video game wise? Because We did back of the rack pickups last episode, and that was last week. So
Okay, so let's all right, let's wrap this up. Okay, so going forward for our podcast listeners, people who are only doing audio,
you ain't getting
there's
shit.
The back of the rack pickups is not going to be a part of, just because it's a more visual experience, and it's just so we're gonna cut it out.
Watch the video cast too, my boy. Come on,
The video
missing?
I would say that the video cast is the best way to watch this show, because we have the gameplay cut in between, and we reference other games, and you get to see it. And you get to see Sondi's beautiful face and his
my chiseled chin.
Right.
You just get to see Benjamin's wonderful smile.
Thanks. So yeah, like that's just what I would recommend. And so but if you're just listening to the audio, obviously that's fine. But this is where we cut it off, and we're gonna do back of the rack pickups as a video only segment to the whole experience. All right. So back of the rack pickups.
The music started playing. Hello.
Yeah. So you want me to go first?
You want? Rock, paper, scissors. Let's go. This doesn't work. Okay. This doesn't work. Okay. Fuck it, bro.
The delay. It's the delay.
Yeah, because I'm like, he chose Rock again. This
Okay, so yeah, I'll go first. Back of the rack pickups. This is where we talk about the games that we've picked up. We're collectors, so we're constantly picking up cheap games or expensive games. So I'll start off with my four. First one is, so this is a game that my girlfriend's dad had in his dad stash. Dads always have just junk laying around, hidden, this is just a bunch of random stuff. Well, he had Skydiving Extreme by Natsume for the PS1.
By Harvest Moon developer? Wait, what?
Yeah. Natsume had a pretty wide range of games, apparently, and Skydiving Extreme is one of them. So I picked that up from him. He just gave it to me, and I was like, cool, I'll see what this is about. I haven't played it, but that's a back of the rack pickup, I would say. Actually, I've never seen this before. I don't know.
That ain't back of the rack. No.
Okay. That's I don't know what bargain bin? I don't know what that is.
That shit is lost in the rack.
Look at that here. I don't know if I can. I'll maybe include some gameplay clips of it in the video, but it has an interesting look to it. It's Natsume, so there's probably a charm to it, I would say.
Yeah.
Japanese, a 90s Japanese charm.
There's probably a fat guy in it. They always have a fat guy in it.
My next one is another PlayStation title from a beloved Cartoon Network series called Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, I thought it was Dexter's Laboratory.
No, I wish.
Extraction.
Yeah, so this is the Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction.
This is the Powerpuff Girls team fighting game where
I don't know.
It plays like Marvel vs. Capcom. Buttercups.
I don't know if there's a brawler. It sounds like it is, but it also just sounds like an arena fighter. I don't know. So that's back of the rack pickup.
Hey, Blossom
another one.
Level 2. Level 2 super is crazy.
Her skill 2. So the next one is an interesting one because at my local game store, I seen the same copy there for months, and I was just like, should I get that?
Let me get this off your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, give it to me.
It was $20, and it kind of was weird to me because all their PS3 games are usually under 10. So I was like, huh, this is a weird game for it to be $20. Also, its value has gone up to 80 for some reason. Captain America Super Soldier on PS3. This game is going up in value. I don't know why. but I was like, I'll pick it up. What's funny is that this one that I have in my hands now was like the shitty copy, like it's
Yeah,
like
it looks like it's water damaged.
Yeah, the disc is fine, but everything else, like it just needs a new case and a new cover. But like they had a brand, like a newer looking one that was like selling for 80, and I was like, you guys have what? Like, why? Why is this game? Yeah, why is this game so expensive? What?
What are you doing?
So yeah, so this is Captain America game by Sega. So that's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I think it was Captain America, Thor, and Green Lantern. Those were like the last like movie tie-in action superhero games, and then they were like, let's just stop.
Yeah, I played the first level of this, and it runs like ass. So I don't know. It's like 20 frames a second.
Makes sense. Yeah, it sounds about right.
And then along with that superhero theme, I also got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yeah.
This is not one is obviously the more beloved one. This one isn't for many reasons, but it's still a bop. You know, it's still good.
Yeah, it's like the Civil War storyline, and I think that was the first time that they showed Iron Man shooting the beam into the shield, and then right after that, like Avengers was like, "Hey, shoot the beam into the shield."
Oh yeah, they got that from the video game for sure.
Yeah, it has team up moves in that game, which I feel is really good.
Yeah, for sure. Super fun. Haven't played it or anything. Probably not a game we'll play on here just because it's
pretty front of the rack.
Yeah, this is not. Yeah. So yeah, those are my 4. Did I show any of those last episode? I don't even.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
I think. Did I show a game about pirates last episode?
What?
About pirates? Like I feel like I showed this Pirates of the Legend of the Black Cat.
No, you didn't actually.
Damn. Yeah, it's pirates. Legend of the Black Cat. You play as Black Cat, the Captain Black Cat, and
Black Cat.
Yeah, she's a girl, dude, and it's a adventure game. I haven't really seen any gameplay of it. I just only saw the disc. Like I just got the case and cover. I had to order these separately, but I just bought the disc only because I saw the disc and I was like, what the fuck? There's a girl on the cover. This is interesting. All right.
Huh. I picked that one up too. Looks cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. You fight a dude that looks like Blackbeard, and there's supernatural powers and voodoo and shit. So I was like, it might be fun for a little escapade.
What year is it?
2002. And then I also got.
Could be janky as hell then.
Yeah, it could be horrible.
Yeah. 2002 is a rough era for 3D games.
There is a YouTube group that I used to watch that unfortunately disbanded called Super Best Friends, and they hate David Cage with all their guts. I don't want to say hate, but they hate his games. And it's funny because I've played David Cage games before, and I've always just been like, what the fuck am I playing? And the very first David Cage game I ever played was Indigo Prophecy.
Oh yes, that's my first too.
Yeah. And this shit was like, at the time, it was like, yo, this is groundbreaking. Like, this is what the fuck is going on? Like,
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. Like, I think this is honestly where David Cage finds like his niche and sticks to it. Where he's like, I'm just gonna tell a story like a movie. And we're just gonna go through it. We're gonna have our set pieces. I'm not gonna have no open world or anything, because the game before this was Omicron, the Nomad Soul, which is a theory that a lot of people have is what broke up the group itself, because that's one of their last LPs. They played Omicron. One of the dudes went on hiatus, and they came back and was like, "Yeah, that's it. We're done." And I was like, "Damn."
Huh. That's interesting. A little trivia there. A little piece of trivia.
Little piece of spinaz. Then there's also Echo the Dolphin, baby, in the Defenders of the Universe of the future. I'm sorry. This is the 3D Echo the Dolphin game. I don't know tell me what you know about Echo the Dolphin.
I fucking hate Echo the Dolphin. There's not much I hate in this world, Sondi. There's not much. But let me tell you, when I was younger on the Sega, I had the Echo game, and I fucking hated that game so much because it was so difficult. I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, all right, I'm going back to Sonic. Fuck this.
Echo the Dolphin is my second favorite series, underneath Sonic the Hedgehog.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you first play Echo?
I played it on one of those fucking Sega collections or some shit. It might have been one of them Sonic collections. I think it's on one of those. I played it on there, and I was like, yeah, this is a cool ass game. And then when you're a kid and you're emulating shit, that was one of those games I emulated, and I just emulated them all and was like, yo, these are some cool ass games. This is the only one I haven't played. I didn't realize they made a 3D Echo the Dolphin, and I was like, well.
Okay. So
I really love the music and I don't want to say the orchestration. Like, I love the midis and the synths.
Okay, then I will have to listen to that. And also, a 3D Echo game might be better because the 2D ones I hated. So I don't know.
It also doesn't help that when I was making music, there was a guy named Ultra Demon. He was like really fucking with me for a moment, and he did like a C-punk or something. I think that's what it's called, like movement. And he was trying to like fuck with me. Like, mind you, I'm like 15, and he was like, "Hey, bro, come to New York and like come to this show." And I'm like, "Nigga, I'm 15 in Atlanta. Like, I can't just pull up on the fuck like." And he really loved Echo the like he like. It wasn't until like he was like showing me like the Sims and like the music of Echo the Dolphin. He's like, bro, no, listen to the soundtrack as you sleep, like as some ASMR shit. Like, you'll really understand like why this shit is wonderful. And then I was like, damn, you kind of right. It's really great. After we finish, I'll show you some shit. You're about to beat my ass, aren't you?
No, I'm listening to you.
You look like you're like, I'm really about to beat the shit out of you because you just made up this.
No, I'm just like, no, I was just thinking. I was like, damn, okay. Well, because I was thinking of how, like, you know, how at the beginning of the show we were mentioning like how, like, what our influences are or how easily we're influenced, especially like at the age of 15. Yeah, if someone sat me down and like was like, yo, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 has like the best music to sleep to.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
and you're like convinced, you're like, oh shit, okay, yeah.
It is one of the video game soundtracks that I can listen to and be like, yeah, bro, I fuck with Echo too.
Yeah.
It's very
Wait, is that all?
Nah, and then
okay.
A little teaser reveal for next episode. Stolen. Bow. Yeah. Listen, I've always seen this game for like $3. I don't really know much about this game other than it's probably a stealth game from the looks of it. And probably we were
jank too.
Yeah, probably jank. And we were going through our list, and we were like, listen, bro, next game we gotta play has gotta be short and sweet. It can't be no long 60-hour game. It's gotta be.
It can't be Legend of Dragoon. Okay, it can't be.
It's gotta be some 6-hour shit. It's gotta be. And then I think I pulled all the games that was like around 6 hours, spun them around on a list 3 times, chose 3 things, and then was like, which one? And we was like, Stolen. So that's the one.
October's game is gonna be Stolen. Yeah, that's my birthday month.
You mean November's?
Wait, shut up. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I had to think, like, when you said it earlier, I was like, I did the math in my head, and I was like, wait a minute. No. This is gonna be.
Yeah. So September is Final Fantasy XII. August is Crimson C2. Wait, hold on. August is Crimson C2. September is Spectrobes. October is Final Fantasy XII.
Yeah.
November is
Stolen. December is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okami.
It's obviously going to be Persona 5 Royal.
Oh my god. You're gonna be a Legend of Dragoon. Final Fantasy IX. Yeah, we don't plan ahead. Like, I don't know what that episode's
Bro,
gonna be.
listen, it wasn't until I sat it down and said, listen, bro, we finished Final Fantasy. What the fuck else are we going to what's next, bro? We got to be
That was the
prepared.
culmination. That was the culmination of our whole
We were
this whole
both at
thing.
the end and we were like, wait a minute, what the fuck is next? We need to figure right now before we get too far ahead.
Yeah, because it's like it was
leaning towards Samurai Warriors 5 for some reason. Or was it?
But that wouldn't. It just wouldn't. Samurai Warriors 3, I think we were gonna do, right, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was definitely like, I don't know. It was hard to choose. It's getting. There's so many games, and like I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and it's like we're only gonna be able to have 12 games in a year because we just play one a month, and like our catalog just is gonna be slowly building. And I'm just like, I feel like we need more, but I'm like, well, we just can't because we only just
look at my show, bro. Like this shit is like I've had to turn it to the fucking side and like do it that way because I have too many games now. Like
this is like a lifetime podcast, and I think
62 like episode 68 686.
Yeah. 6 years will be in 6 years we would be like in the 50s or in the
64. Yeah,
64. Yeah. So like that's
lot.
crazy to think. Yeah, that's why I'm like, how are we gonna?
That's only 64 games. I'm gonna have like 182 extra by then.
Yeah, and it's gonna. And I'm like, do we need to do like 2 games in one episode, or because obviously it's just too hard. We just don't have enough time to play that many games, edit that many podcasts, and do like it's just too difficult.
Unless we start double dipping, you get an episode, I get an episode. We just edit that. Nah, that shit.
Thanks guys. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you listening to this long ass podcast. We know there's a shit ton of podcasts out there about games with maybe higher production quality or higher audio quality,
higher visual, whatever.
Yeah, but thanks for sticking with us. And if you have any recommendations, let us know on Twitter. You can find me on there at Bendezzer, or you can find Sondi on Twitter at Sondiame,
whatever. Yeah, you can find our links in the description below.
If you guys have any questions, we sort of want to do like a section where we talk about questions or we answer your questions, maybe about a game that we played. You can put those in the YouTube comments, or you could submit them to us on Twitter, and we'll like just compile a list of.
Comment
and we'll
on
shout
Instagram.
You out. Yeah,
Comment under random Instagram photos of like me and my dog, and be like, "Hey, what do you think about the artistical merits of stolen environment design?"
Yeah, just So we're constantly talking about these games, thinking about them. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys for listening. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And anything else, Sondi, to close us out? Do you have anything?
This goes out to you, Randy. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. I want you to understand that we will never play that game, okay? So stop asking me. I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. I know what you want. But we're not going to do it.
What game is it?
We're not going to do it. Randy, okay? If I say it, that'll make me have to do it. We're not going to do it. You watch your back when you sleep, Randy. I know where you live. Nah, but that's all, guys. I thank you guys so much for listening. As always, this is such a very fun. I don't want to say task. That makes it sound like it's a job. This is a very fun thing to do. A hobby. It's like my girl called it the best. She was like, "Oh, so it's like a little video game book club," and I'm like, "Okay, way to feminize it." Yeah, you're right.
That's how I explain it to people. I'm like, it's like a book, like a game club, essentially.
Yeah.
I want to like play these games and talk to somebody about it, but like not on Twitter. Like I want to like have a proper conversation with somebody.
Yeah. And I feel like I want this to get to the point to where we can have Discords, so where we can have other people when we announce a game that we're playing this, that everybody's all together playing some game, and it just seeing like on eBay, like, yeah, like a bunch of people just bought this game out of nowhere and are playing it. Like, I want to see like,
yes, book club status.
Yeah, like I want to seriously open this up to other people to hop in and play with us, as well as also potentially guests. Like, I know we always talk about Sean and having him on there if we play a PlayStation 1 game, or having somebody if we play another JRPG that plays JRPGs. Like, I want to open this up to where it's not just us, where it's more of a community and people are like, yeah, bro, that's back of the rack. I want that to become a staple where people are like, bro,
that's back of the rack.
This is fucking back of the rack right here, bro.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I want.
Start throwing up bees, like, back of the rack.
Hey, he got shot up because he was back of the rack. No, like, I agree, and I think we share the same vision in that. And yeah, like, that's how I want this to go. Like, like me and Sondi are talking about something specific, a game, and we want you guys. It would be cool to have like a Discord and everybody else like, hey, we're at this part. I can't wait for that episode to come out when you guys talk about it and see where I agree or disagree. You know, yeah, because I mean, I don't feel like there's anything like this. Like, am I wrong, or like?
No, you're right.
Like what we have. Like, is there anything?
Like, I know a podcast that specifically like, hey, we're gonna play a game. But see, when we play a game, we take the whole month, and well, not the whole month, but we take our time, and we at least try to beat the goal games. Certain podcasts, they just like, I'm just gonna play, like, we only have 7 days, so I'm just gonna see how far I get in 7 days. And in 7 days in Final Fantasy XII, I was still in Rabanastre. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's certain times where, like, you know what I mean, you gotta put a little more time and effort into it. And I feel like both of us, we crown ourselves on getting more into the design and technical aspects of the games, because that's what interests us. The design for you and technical for me, and just playing the game with the context of what we learned from researching and playing and stuff like that, it adds a little more. It feels like I'm fully engrossed in the work of art that somebody has made, more or less, than I'm just playing a game and being like, yeah, I recommend this to you. Because it's like, of course you're going to recommend Shadow of the Colossus. Of course you're going to recommend Breath of Fire 2. You know what I mean? Like, it's certain games that you know you're gonna recommend, and you're not gonna recommend Rugrats Trouble in Tokyo or some shit like that, like on Game Boy Advance. Like, we like these games, we play them for a reason. I'm not gonna sit here and play Stolen and then shit on it for 2 hours. Like, I'm gonna play Stolen and explain to you that it has a place in somebody's heart. You know what I mean?
Damn, that's well said. I couldn't. Yeah, that's
back on the rack right there.
That is. We're playing games that have a special place in someone's heart. Yeah, and that's what these back of the rack titles are. And we should write this down, because it should be at the beginning of the show, because like we're always trying to explain what it is, but that's what it is. It's like these games that maybe you've seen. Something. Yeah, like Second Sight meant something to somebody. Like, oh, dude, I had such a good time with that. Final Fantasy XII meant something to me, even though I didn't play it. But it like sticks out in my mind as like a landmark game when I was like growing up. And like Bladestone, like, there is a special place for these games.
And they do bring a special part. Even if this is my first time playing it, I've never heard of that. Like, when we do our back of the rack pickups, it's really just us scouting for. But it's just like certain games, like this Pirates game, where it's like, this might be ass, this might be great, but we'll never know. But until we do, even if we hate it or like it, it'll still have a good place in our heart, and we'll still feel like, damn, like, that's a game that I would have never played back in the day, or it's a game I never would have like fucked with because I was too busy focused on this. And as an adult, you can take your filter off and I'm just gonna play it. I don't care what it is, how bad it is. I'm just gonna play it and see if it's good. It might be my favorite game of all time. It might not.
Because I feel like we still are trying to figure out how to put it into words what Back of the Rack is, so that it's clearly defined. And I feel like that's one of the better ways to describe it, is that like these are games that are close. Sometimes it feels like when I go look for like when I go to a game store and I'm like shopping around and stuff, like my motivation is always like I'm trying to recapture the feeling of discovering something new, you know, like when I was younger, like I would just go to like a store, a game store, and then like look and be like, what is this? Yeah, like I've never heard of this, let me pick this up. And like I completely like insulated from like all the gaming news and gaming buzz, like just like, oh, what, okay, how do I feel about it, as opposed to like, oh, it was critically panned. But it's like, okay.
And I think that is another thing that makes this better, is that now we can do that and we can turn off the filter of like, as a kid, you know what I mean, you, whatever game this is, it had to be the game, because you know, like you don't get games this often, so it's
you
like,
didn't have money like that.
Yeah, so if you get this game, it's got to be the game, it's got to last you a while, it's got to be good, like it can't be something you just gonna return in 7 days. And like, we have the power now as grown-ass men to just like literally, like Stolen, I only found this shit out because I was on Metacritic and I literally was looking at every single PlayStation 2 game that existed and was just like, fuck it, it has a cool cover, fuck it. Like I didn't even look any further other than like Stolen cover, probably some stealth shit, cool, let's put it on the list. Like, so you never know, this shit might be fire.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of games I think on here that are going to be like, oh, they're covering Top Gear Daredevil.
Yeah,
you know. Oh, but then like an episode like this, Final Fantasy XII, that's a huge game, you know. So like it's going to be all over the place, but I think our podcast is going to be one of those ones that last, because we're not just talking about current events or current games, you know, we're talking about almost a history of games and our like personal history with them. And
you can binge it.
I don't know, you
can see our growth.
Yeah, so hopefully in 2 years when we have 20 episodes,
yeah, in season 3 we should make it seasons, like every year be a season. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
this is our discovery season, then season 2 we just shit on every game.
Season of anger, frustration.
I just hate every game. Okay, let's end it out. Okay,
yeah, sorry about that. Maybe I want to leave that in, but I'll leave that in.
We're leaving this all in. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, so thank you guys again, we really appreciate it. Sondi, thank you for being my co-host, for being my partner in this.
Thank you for being my co-host.
There is that element to this. Is the 5th episode, so it's okay if we get a little emotional.
Listen, man,
we just met online and like we're already like,
oh yeah, we didn't tell him the story. Yeah,
we're like 6 months into this, or actually
this is real. This is a friendship diary for real, bro.
Like, yeah, like we've never met in person. Literally, games is like was our avenue. If Sondi wasn't around, you know, doing the liking everybody's
fucking tweets on Twitter, just spamming people, we would have never met. You guys wouldn't be listening to this right now. Think about it. God works in mysterious ways, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so it's like, I don't know, it's sort of sweet to me, that sort of friendship.
I'm pulling up to Arizona.
Do it.
I'm pulling up.
Fucking do it.
I'm pulling up so I can beat your ass.
That's exactly how you would look to me too. The way like you were towering.
No, seriously, how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Bro, you're not even that short, bro. You made me think that I'm about to come over there. You're gonna be like, yeah, man.
Hey, I'm 5'3".
You make it seem like I'm like 6'9".
No, what are you? You're 6'3", right? Or what'd you say? 6'4"?
Yeah, 6'2", 6'3".
Okay. Now, so you're as tall as one of my other friends, who's like 6'2". So I mean, it's not that much different.
You got me scared. You got me thinking you're gonna be like, yeah, man. What's up, man?
I love games. Back and wreck that again. We out here.
That shit too hard. Fuck that shit. What's the slang out Arizona? What do people call each other? What is the bruh of Arizona?
I'm
'Cause
so
I-
disconnected. I don't know. Like people
up
still
here is
talk
Mo.
hood and shit.
Yeah.
Wait, what did they say?
It's Mo up here, so he'd be like, "What's good, Mo?" Like,
Really?
yeah.
Why?
Like it's Mo's, and then Baltimore it becomes Woes. So it's always that's what we call it, the Mo's versus the Woes. That's what we call it when the Washington football team plays the Ravens. We call it the Mo's versus Woes because they be like stupid. Like they drag their like like it's ugly as fuck. I hate Baltimore.
Because I'm in the Southwest and we're so close to the Mexican border, there's more Mexican slang, Spanish slang.
A lot of no mames and shit.
Yeah, so like there's like that. I'm trying to think of like what is something like commonly here, but I feel like it's not unique to Arizona. So like so much as it is to like your side of the world. But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, foo is still like a big one with Mexicans. Hey, foo, bro is a huge one, but that's become so much bigger than I remember it being.
I just imagine that video with the dude where he's like, "Oh, she violent, domestic violence."
Yeah, no, people talk like that here. Yeah, foo, bro, like that language.
The first nigga to call me foo if I went out there, I'd have to shoot him. I'm
No,
sorry.
well, it's like they're like
good,
inner.
fool?
Yeah, hey, what up, bro? Like
we gotta fight.
that's
Hey, what's up? Who you call a fool, bro? What's up?
yeah.
What you trying to get into?
It's yeah, bro's definitely a huge one, but I feel like that has caught on all over the country. But I want to say it started with like California and like around this area, the Southwest, West Coast. Like yeah, because I remember in high school.
bro.
Really?
Yeah, but she's white, so it's okay.
Yeah, because I remember in high school, like it was, people would say dude, and then I remember there was like a subset of like Mexican kids be like, hey, bro, but like they would say bruh,
Yeah.
and like that's interesting in and of itself because like bruh is also like a surfer kind of way to say it,
Yeah.
like get these waves, bruh. Like that's just how it was, and like now it's more of an urban thing. It's really fascinating, like
how that happened.
whole. So, and now like Twitter uses it. People that I know that don't speak like that talk like that on Twitter. And I'm just like,
I'm really tame right now. Like I don't use a lot of the slang I normally use, like jai, or like
you can speak however you want to me. As long as I can speak however I want to you,
bro. Because I be talking to people and they be like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
I'm still like, I don't know.
Because it's a mixture of like Atlanta slang and like DC slang. So I'd be like, that's why I be calling you my boy. Like, like that's the bruh of Georgia. It's like
that's true. Yeah,
my boy.
Do any of your friends listen to the podcast and like, yo, you talk different on the podcast? What the fuck? That's not you.
Nah, I talk proper in general anyway. It's only when I'm drunk I be like, what, bro, for real? Like we on that motherfucker like real loud, bro.
Yeah, no, that's me for sure too. But I don't. Yeah, get a little wild. Definitely use the N-word a lot more when I'm drunk.
See, that's the best part about this podcast is that we can say the N-word and like, what they gonna do?
I know, right? They're like, God, we can't
Stop
censor
saying.
it. but they're black.
The joys.
That's true. Until we get like a guest that's white,
we're gonna say it even more. Oh no!
Hey, nigga.
Nigga, how'd you feel about this?
Yeah, how'd you feel?
All right, seriously. All right, yeah. See y'all later. I ain't even gonna fuck y'all. Get out of my face. Bye.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Bye, guys. Till next time.